Hi, Josh. I have, and everyone else, I know I said I was going to be back in 2 months. No, 2 hours. The last time I did a live stream, I said I was coming back in 2 hours, and then I haven't been back in 2 months. It is not that I'm unreliable. I listened to Spirit, and I was actually back. 5 or 6 times since then. I've had so much information. And I was very eager to deliver it. And, you know, when you set up and do a live stream, even if you're not particularly picky about your appearance, you know, I brush my hair, I sit down, I get everything set up, I've got the computer, I raise it up, I get the lights, got the snake around my neck, sit down, and was just hit with this wave of no, not right now, not yet, no, don't do it. And that was frustrating because I was all set. But I listened to it and I thought, okay, divine right timing, whatever, I'll do it tomorrow. And this goes back like 2 months. And meanwhile, you know how it is when you get downloads? More and more and more and more and more. So there's like, it's building up. You can only hold back for so long. So usually what I had been doing, also it goes to different people. That's another whole thing. The reason I covered up, you know, when people join, I can see their, I can see when people join. I don't want that to happen. Oh, we're in such a complicated time. Energetically speaking, there's just so much going on. So 5 or 6 times I have had this live stream ready, and I'm like, okay, now. I sit down, I set everything up, and I sit down and wait, and I get a very distinct no. So I'm like, all right. But there's a push-pull that's going on because we're in this place of pivot. And my task is, it's incredibly complicated and diverse, but it's also my particular task is very specific. So it seems like I'm all over the friggin' where. And that's true. But it's kind of like the way a bloodhound goes. There's only one track. It's on one track. And it's just everywhere. But I've got a scent. And so I've been really, really, really busy energetically. There is so much, the 4th dimension right now, I've got so much to say. And it's very frustrating because the person I really need to speak to is Josh Cram. And that's a phenomenal little knot right there in it. So my nose has started running. Wasn't running at all. Now it's running. That's a reason. Okay. There's general information that a lot of people, like you listen to Lori Ladd and people like that, general ascension information, she's phenomenal. There are a lot of people, I'm trying very hard not to do all of it. I'm trying to do just what I need to do and stick to just my task, which is complex enough. So, oh, wow. There are, I don't know how to, how could I have so much to say and not be able to say it? This is amazing to me, amazing. There's some information that has to get just to specific people. And one of the problems that I've been having is, so what I had been doing was, I'm sorry, you're seeing it here. There's an energetic block that we've been working on that's blocking now I've got a tremor. There are specific energetic blocks that I recognize, and that's what I'm after, and that's what I'm targeting. We're doing real well. These are some of the hardest, most long-standing energetic blocks that affect the masses, that affect collective consciousness, the belief systems, and as a consequence, the like political institutions, all kind of institutions. There are specific targeted energetic blocks which I've been working with, going back to find the origins of, and I don't have the film. They're going to send it through when it comes through, but I found, if I had to make a really brief summary, oh my God. For the last 2 weeks, about 5 hours every morning, I get downloads and channel. The live streams really want to come in at about 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 or 5 a.m. So that's why I haven't been doing them, but a lot of the work, the actual energetic work, has been lining up just beautifully. It's like we weren't getting progress, and then recently in the last 2 weeks, it's gone boom, 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 boom. Things are just lining up, and I'm looking for, so we're trying to create a channel through which we can get, so that you find an energetic block and you say, oh, I see you rat bastard, and then you go in after that. And so I've been on a trail of a couple of very deep, very long-standing, extremely pervasive, corrupt patterns where things keep manifesting in ways that we can't have. A lot of this has to do with Josh. So I have been for the last 6, 7 years, had a more or less one-way correspondence with Josh. I was sending him emails, text too. First, for a long time, it was just text, feet of text, because he had said about 7 years ago, it's not going to, I don't know if he's going to read them or not. That's really less the point. I had a lot of work. We are twin flames, and we've got a particular task. A lot of the information and data had to be gone through. It's one of the reasons I shot out of my body, and I had to go through all of these timelines and go find where things started and live through a lot of the darker experiences and heal the energetic blocks before we can, which is half the work we're supposed to be doing, but the energy blockages, the corrupt patterns have to be completely 100% cleared before anything can commence that's new. It has to be basically sterilized. It's like you put it in an autoclave. Be easier. A tremendous amount of work has been done, and it's for groups too. It's not just me. Lot of dream work. And then, so a lot of, wait, I don't want to get off topic. Hang on a minute. A lot of dream work has been going on where, I was going to talk about spirit communication. This stuff really does need to be taught, and I'm going to be teaching it. But first, before I can do that, we have to, the blockages have to be gone so that the flow can get through. And so far, we're not there. I still haven't spoken to him. I did get a phone call from someone said they were the police, and maybe it was the police, and asked me not to send Josh any more emails. And if he gets any more emails from me, it's grounds for criminal prosecution. Which struck me as an overreaction. I can understand it though. So you look at it in, first of all, whatever, oh my God. The problem that I'm having in bringing this through in a linear, understandable way is that there are about maybe, I'll say 7 layers of information. And in the process of ascension, like right now, hang on a minute. There's so much backstory that you need before I can tell you the stuff that I want to tell you. And this is why it's like when we get up into higher dimensions, it is so much easier to just send somebody a thought bubble or a bubble of information which they just suddenly will comprehend, understand all that. And believe it or not, even though you really maximize the amount of data, the amount of knowledge that you can transfer, but there's far less verbiage. The problem that I'm having is that I'm trying to get the information to a level where it's all linear, and you need a whole bunch of backstory plus everything that's coming in now. And the other problem I'm having is that some of this, I would prefer it if it only went to Josh, or he's really the one I need to tell him. Just, I think we'd all be more comfortable if some of it just went to him. I also really want to talk about the perception that twin flames are stalkers, because this is why I think it's funny. I'm not the only person this has happened to. I know of at least 2 other people who happened to call me the same week. Same week that I got the phone call, and they said, you know, the New York State Police, and don't send any more emails. I was like, all right. It seems like a little bit of an overreaction, but I can understand through a 3rd dimensional lens, without the awareness of what it also is, I understand why you can, through that lens, you could see certain behaviors and see it only from your own perspective and not I can see why it could appear creepy. Also, people from a 3rd dimensional lens, they're kind of glued to their singular viewpoint. And then there's only one appropriate response. It's in the 3rd dimension, it's the realm of solidified duality and a single viewpoint, where dark and light both exist in the 3rd dimension. When you're in the 3rd dimensional paradigm, you will pick a singular, usually a singular agenda. Team light. I'm team light, I'm one of the good guys, right? So you kind of make the other, it's a realm of adversarial thinking. If you're not with me, you're against me. Well, that's not necessarily true. That might be true when you're in the 3rd dimension, when you have to have a singular agenda and you have to find that you're right. In the 3rd dimension, we view our opposite as our opposition. That's a huge departure from, if you take another realm where dark and light also exist, is the 12th dimension. And in the 12th dimension, it is 100% peaceful, because you still have dark and light in the 12th dimension, only you have a comprehensive understanding of all is one. And you view, you recognize that the two coexist. And then if you have your own viewpoint, you understand, you view the quote unquote opposition as being your ally, because it is the thing that defines you. It's making you. You couldn't have a viewpoint if you didn't have something to compare it to. So it's very non-adversarial and it's service oriented, even though nothing has really changed. There's dark and light in the lower realm. There's dark and light existing in the higher realm. In one, there's conflict. And in the higher one, there's just appreciation. Where was I going with this? Anyway, I was asked not to deliver him any more emails, but previously he had said you can text me whatever to, if it helps you work it out, and it really has. That's one of the things I got a lot of. I think I'm going to save that information for a different time. A lot of information came through about the Tower of Babel. Sorry, there are multiplicities of. I'm sorry, I'm having such a hard time putting this in, getting this down to a single language, because I'm talking about comprehensive understanding of all languages and the way spirit communicates all things all at once. Oh my gosh, I don't know how. This is probably why they told me to wait on the live stream. I'm getting very conflicted messages lately. There's like a stop, go, stop, go. And one of the things that's happening is that there's, in the 4th dimension, there's a massive pivot going on. And I really, really, really want to talk about a dream that I had. Is that going to be this live stream? I have no idea. So here's one of the things. So, oh, damn it. Sorry, you're going to have to bear with me. This is going to be a real weird one. I'm trying to isolate the amount of information that I'm getting. So one of the reasons they told me to take a break, and it was like a hard no, because I was getting, they said I was on information overload or psychic overwhelm, which for me is saying something, because I can handle a lot of information, or it's also like my energy stream and Josh's have gotten very aligned, even though I haven't spoken to, I shouldn't say I don't need to speak to him. I do need to speak to him, but it's one of those things that if you're prevented from communicating in the external, it has actually helped in some ways, because it's forcing, I'm going to say us, to rely on strengthening the internal, wrong word, the exact, I don't have a word for it. To strengthen the energetic connection is already there. To strengthen, something had to be isolated. We were trying to I was trying to isolate specific frequencies. So one of the problems I've been having, and it's also very much a trick of the dark side. I don't like to have a viewpoint that goes down that far. If I identify something specifically as being a tactic of the dark side, is that a way to create peace? No. If you want to head toward union, look for the commonality. If you want to build a bridge, look for the commonality. If you want to create a division, go into hyper-aggressive fault finding and look for what's different, and you're going to wind up creating a break. So that's not my intention. In the third dimension, when a boundary is desired, where you want to break, put a boundary, control something, if you want to create a boundary, you go down into where things are solid and isolated from one another. So there have been a lot of boundaries put up. Boy, I need to organize this material because there's so much of it. There's so many strata, there's so many different layers. And a lot of the layers are very thin. I keep saying it's like a transparent Rolodex or like transparent multicolored baklava. It's easier to talk about it sometimes when you go through dimensions, like here's the third dimension, here's the fourth dimension, here's the fifth. But that's actually a lot less accurate. It simplifies it, but it's a lot less accurate. For one thing, when you go up, it's not like ka-jink, 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 like changing the channel on a television or something. They're not locations, but it's like a dial. You can dial yourself through transparent levels up and down, and different things happen on different levels. And boy, am I finding that. So as we step up into multiplicity, I want to backtrack and talk about duality. You start with an individual viewpoint if you're in the base of the triangle, the point of the triangle. You know, you pick a position, dark or light, right or wrong, me versus you. The first step up from that is accepting the other. Even if acceptance is more important than necessarily loving the other. You can love the other when you're in higher dimensions, but the first thing you need to do is embrace duality as opposed to I'm right. The opposite is also, you have to be able to include that as well. It's a challenge. That's one thing that the TwinFlame, a lot of different levels to that too. And that's one of the things it teaches you, the other as yourself, and they are your complement. And I feel like I could do, there wasn't so much of a freaking backlog. I feel like I could really do a whole live stream about, I'm so tempted right now to say I'll do a live stream only about that. But I have learned, to my chagrin, that I can't plan anything now. I'm so far off of the timeline, and it's not in my control at all. Divine right timing is moving so fast. Fortunately, the blocks, like divine right timing is never a matter of so much, I shouldn't say never. It's not so much a matter of specific dates, although there are cosmic gateways that do play a vibrational role in getting large energy streams. Certain things happen, like eclipses, so it's a good thing to pay attention to. But divine right timing on a personal level has to do with when there's vibrational alignment. So if you're never doing any of your own vibrational work, there's, you know, you could pass window after window after window and miss it. You still might get there, but you know, you still have to do your own internal work, emotional healing. Yeah, divine right timing. This is nothing like the live stream that I've been wanting to deliver. You embrace duality. You recognize that the other side is also your ally, or even if you don't understand that, you going up to embrace a multiplicity of viewpoints is the next step. So in the fourth dimension, there's something happening right now in the fourth dimension where I've go there a lot, do a lot of work there, but I have never in the last 7 years of working on this, I've never seen it more chaotic than it is now. And it's also a different kind of chaos, because I've said this before. They're like, oh my God, the fourth dimension now, it's so chaotic, and there's so much battle going on there, crazy activity. That's true, but it's different because the movements used to be larger and more, it's just a different kind of chaos. I used to say, like, the fourth dimension is looking a lot right now like, it still is, like Grand Central Station, where like their train's ready to leave the station, everybody's trying to get where they're going. But the interesting thing is, like, you can know right where you want to go, but because there's so much traffic, the changes are so abrupt because certain matrices are falling apart and disintegrating. So you're dealing in the fourth dimension, you're dealing with a lot of people who are or beings, whatever, souls who are very targeted and want to get where they're going. They're very excited, a lot of excitement. And then there's also a lot of fear that's being felt and churned up. And it's kind of like if Grand Central Station, like the certain parts of the floor, like just suddenly go into little pixels, and there's just dispersing. It looks like, like you knock over an anthill, and all of a sudden everything's going everywhere. And then it's also interesting because there's also a lot of directional traffic that still exists. It's kind of like if you're trying to make your train in Grand Central Station and you see it and it's right ahead of you, and you want to go there as directly as possible, but there's so much traffic across that no matter how fast you run, like all of a sudden you have to stop because there's like a line of people going this way, and you have to wait until they're all so that's why there's been one of the reasons why there's been such a delay on my live streams, even though there has never been more to say. I've got all of this stuff, and the dream work has, I think this is a fair thing to say. It's never been more useful, or I mean, just the dream work, we're getting so much accomplished so quickly in dream time. It's like I needed to focus completely. I've been just working on energetic clearing, and like even writing has been too linear. I stopped posting. I went into shutdown mode. And I know that this is, I listened to myself talk. I'm like, you gotta make a sentence, dude. The presentation is off, but I'm trying to do something very specific. There's a process of balancing going on, and it's happening at the edge of two realms, where right at the thin line cusp between spirit and physicality. And we're trying to line up and balance aperture sizes. I had more information. I've got so much information about this. I really want to talk about spirit communication. There's a, okay, the reason I'm getting an interference right now, even though I'm not looking at it, I covered it up on purpose. I can't see any of the people because I wanted to see if it would make a difference. It is causing interference. You don't have to go away. It is causing interference. I was trying to see if it would make a difference if I knew people were there or not, visually. It doesn't make a difference. I'm getting a lot of interference. There's information that wants to go out to a group. I've been toying with the idea of, I don't know how it would affect. I think we're going to have to check it. Recording something like lectures would be like a live stream where I'm not influenced. That's the problem that I have when I do these live streams, is that when somebody comes on, as soon as the attention is on me, I'm feeling a two-way energy stream, and I'm picking up on that. So it's pulling me off and off of my train of thought. You're also getting an energetic transmission. I'm aware of that. I'm not really complaining. I'm just observing it in real time. So I wanted to see if it would make a difference if I covered up the list of names. And so far, maybe it helps moderately, but I don't really think so. I really want to, there are a couple of things I wanted to talk about specifically, and now I can't tell if I'm being, see, here's the thing. I'm gonna let you watch me in this process, which is not graceful. Is it polished? Does it have a presentation? No. I am aware of that. One of the things that I was told by guys, I've been told this for a while, is that at this time, oh yeah, I was going to talk about that. Hang on, I want to make sure. I want to make sure I give you that information. We're at this particular juncture in the migration. This is like planetary exodus. Please go lie down. You were walked before. Go lay down. He waits until these live streams and then he wants to go out. If you go over there, I really hope you don't poop on the floor. My nose runs. You know, he doesn't usually poop in the house, but he's done it twice on live streams, and he's very energetically sensitive. Tosh, cut it out. I wonder if he feels it. Seriously, that's not a... My nose always runs on these things. And I wonder if the energy affects him too, because he doesn't usually go in the house. He's usually quite housebroken. And then he waits and he wants to go out when the live stream starts. Anyway, I want to talk about the way things are connected, spirit communication, how to interpret dream symbolism. Oh boy, I really want to talk about that. What are you doing? That's a big topic. Really want to talk about that. And I was going to, so my guides have said for a while that if I allow myself to go forward, kind of fumble my way forward, allow yourself to be vulnerable, go through the vulnerability, allow that, allow yourself to be, allow other people to witness your process, and talk about what's happening, because I'm getting a stream of information and I'm trying to put it into verbal language as it comes through, but there's a lot of it, and it's also going into different directions. And I know I'm talking about a lot of different topics. I have one dream in particular I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about that coconut cake. Everyone, oh my God, I was going to talk about Fulgurite too. God damn it. Help organize this material. So much of it has to come through and has to go to different people. One thing that happened, oh God, I was going to talk about twin flames and energy dynamics. Holy crap. So Josh, if I can't contact you directly, also there's nothing remotely criminal about what I'm doing. If you, I'm also not convinced that you necessarily called the police. I think it could easily have been Carmen, could have been somebody else. I'm also not upset that you did it. Having said that, we need to have a venue for private communication. And I am aware that one of the tactics in the third dimension, the dark side, very much has been, there's been a tremendous amount of dark side interference. There always is with, especially with high level twin flames. That should come as no surprise. But they're targeting, I don't, damn it. I have a I have a very comprehensive knowledge about the tactics and rerouting that's going on. I don't have any direct information about who's doing it. I do know that every time, if from a third dimensional, I'm going to try and focus on this for a second. Hang on. I almost never talk about battle tactics because I don't like it. Having said that, let's not call it battle tactics. Let's say it's strategy. It's travel strategy. The dark side wants one thing to happen. The light side, if you term it that way, the light side wants another thing to happen. Both are looking for satisfaction. I'm looking for a way through. The dark side tends to want to solidify and block. Both sides deserve to and will get what they want, but it's about, okay, I'm not going to just talk about that right now. Just a second. If from a third dimensional or lower dimensional strata, crap, hang on. Hang on, I got it. I'll get it, hang on. There's always a gift in there's a gift in everything. Find the gift, you found your way through. So is there twin flame separation? Yes. Is there a way to navigate through it? And then in the the block contains a gift. Do I like the block? No. I would much prefer direct communication. Are we also, this is the weird thing, are we going to get it? Yeah. I know that with certainty. That's the thing. And there are a whole bunch of shit I haven't even told you if you're Josh. A whole bunch of shit I haven't told you if you're anybody else either. But I've discovered things in the hunting. I don't really like the word hunting. We'll say hunting. In the searching for it, energetic blocks I'm talking about. Oh boy, am I doing a horrible job explaining this. I'm looking for a way for light to get through. And I will get back to the Fulgurite because, oh my God, today did I ever get a breakthrough this morning? And I jumped out of bed and actually did a little dance in front of the mirror because I was so excited to figure something out about Fulgurite. And I want to communicate it to you. And the problem that I'm having is that some information is private. I don't mind sharing my personal information, and that's why. So, but we need the informational stream to go both ways, and not all of it. Some of the resistance is coming from the fact that not everybody wants their information shared. So that's understandable. There needs to be a way for information to get through that is personal, communication to get through to only one party or a select group, which is, it's like we're at cross purposes right now, even though we're going, damn it. This is a fascinating puzzle though. The first one to, wait, do I want to talk about that right now? Because it seems like it's just coming out of the blue. On my Facebook wall, Josh, if you don't know this, I'm posting rather than send, because I don't want to go to court. I can't afford a lawyer. That's an asinine thing to do. I kind of don't blame you. And I also understand why it takes the form it takes and it can't do anything else. So I actually think that whole situation was fine. I left a little box where Josh works. It had crystals in it. I wrote his name on the top, left it at the desk, and left. I could understand calling the police if that box had contained an explosive or a thumb or something like that. But really, it was just a couple of little crystals with a note that said, if you don't want these, it was a letter really, but if you don't want these, give this to Calico and she'll bring it home. I'm actually not upset at all. I actually think my emotional, because you don't think you know this, my emotional response to receiving the call from the police that said, don't, if you write any further emails, they can bring you up on criminal charges because now the police are telling you to stop. My emotional response to that was on point and perfect. So what we're looking for is an appropriate boundary. I can understand why that comes through as, even though I would greatly prefer, we want to respect, okay, oh God, I'm doing such a bad job at this. There are conflicting forces and we're trying to balance them. There's the personal and the institution. Certain things have to happen on one side that we want the reverse on the other. So we want to respect someone's personal boundaries, but as an indigo child also coming out of the Joan of Arc identity, which Josh also shares, we're trying to dramatically shift and bust the crap out of institutions of oppression. So with our energy, our energetic signatures. So and what I'm very well aware of, and this is the thing that I've been doing primarily, is working with timelines and throughout history, historical timelines. So time is a spiral. And if you think about it, it looks very much like a cross section of a tree. If it was actually a spiral and not just rings. If there's a core wounding or something that happens on one ring, it's like a bruise and it will leave a wound. I wanted a diagram. This is very unorganized. This is also one of the reasons I'm having a hard time staying in linearity, is because I need to get off the timeline, away from the point of an individual identity. If you land on the timeline, you're down on one specific place. And yes, it's nice to flow the eternal now, but if you're locked onto the timeline, you can only see your one identity. The work that I have to do requires that I see the entire cross section of the tree, which is, you know, spiral of time. So like if you were to unroll the tree, like you unroll a fruit roll up or something, and you just saw one extremely long time line, it would look like linear history. But when you roll this thing up, you realize that, so my job is to kind of find the bruise, find the core. Hey, get away from the guinea pig. He goes into the, there's a guinea pig pen on the floor, and he goes and he steals her carrot. I thought he was hunting the pig. I kept saying, stop chasing the pig, but that's not what he's doing. He's actually goes in there and he eats her carrots, and he's a Labrador, and then he eats her celery, and he eats her pellets. It's ridiculous. He doesn't chase the pig. Anyway, what you'll notice when you look at, say, the cross section of something like time, if it's rolled up like that, is that if there's a core event, like a bruise, there's like the point of impact of a bruise where that's the actual event where it was like most severe, but the influence, like a bruise will have a painful, like on the timeline, like I'm losing linear speech. Sorry. There's a right. That's like a bruise. So and I do have a diagram of this someplace. So my job is to go back along the timelines and heal the issues that cause certain things, so that on the timeline, the next time it comes around, you can say, okay, this is still feeling, there's still painful feeling here, but it's from something that happened down here. But if you can figure out what the common elements are in, this is how I spend like all my time. If you can see the common elements in that energy well, or in that energy stream that keeps looping around, and there's like a common energy stream that has so much pain in it. And every single time, if it hasn't healed, if you haven't healed it on this one little ring of the tree, the next time around, if you still haven't healed it, it's going to get worse or just buried more. But if you have healed it, it will like begin to soften. It's either going to get worse, it's going to get darker and more severe, or it's going to get lighter as you shed light and therefore healing on it. Thank you. That's what I wanted to say. So what I do, I don't get paid for this, by the way, and if you can make a donation, I'm going to put a thing. I am overdrawn in the bank right now, and we've got issues with financial issues, and it is a core wounding for a specific group of people, and we're working particularly with this right now. And this is how I know I'm going to be working with Josh. We came to fix this thing, and every once in a while, and today was one of them, I started to say, I'm leaving things on my timeline for you. If you're Josh, and I think you do listen, I don't have any evidence at all that you watch these, but I think you do. Rather than sending things directly to you, because I don't want, I don't welcome any criminal prosecution, thanks. I respect personal boundaries. So for example, if you came to me and said, I don't want to receive any emails or whatever, I would respect that. But if there's going to be a different energetic, I'm putting that in those terms for a reason, and I'll tell you why in a minute. unless I go off on a tangent and forget. I think I've got like 5 things going on right now. We are here to change the systems. So, but I want to respect personal boundaries. We have to reestablish personal, okay, get that, okay, yeah, I see it. Okay, there's some things there that I can't. I can use myself as an example to talk about it, and I will. I'll get back. I'm going to get back to the personal line of, that's why they're saying use yourself as an example. I'm going to talk about certain vulnerabilities that are common to a lot of people, but I'm going to use myself as an example, even though I am uncomfortable doing it. But if I very much like David and Goliath, if you walk forward and in vulnerability with no armor, you're going to be able to take down the giant, but you have to approach it a certain way. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I want to say about Josh too. It's complimentary. It's quite complimentary. He hasn't gotten anywhere near the credit has deserved. And at some point, I'm going to talk about King Charles VI. Because the first one to land in the Joan of Arc lifetime was not Joan of Arc. It was Josh Cram in this life was King Charles, who got a real bad rap and didn't deserve it, but he cut through the toughest of it, for real. I mean, Joan of Arc that was a real terrible experience and no lightweight task. But Josh is carrying the other half of that. And I'm aware of the issues, the energetic issues. I'm really, really glad that I have him as an ally, because I know he gets it. And I think he's the only one who does. I think he knows what that is. And I want to talk at some point about certain visions and dreams I had that I would like his permission to talk about it. I'm not sure. So we're at this cusp, right? I know we're going to be working together. I'm not sure how much he wants me to say about it. I don't actually know what we're going to be doing going forward. And this is what, like, twin flames work together energetically in tandem before anything ever appears, any change occurs in physicality. Up until a couple of weeks ago, I was really concerned that I hadn't been getting through that. Nothing, like I was getting panicked that I hadn't done my job. I know I was supposed to wake him up like how is he? Is he not? I don't mean it in a pushy way, but just like my own performance. I was really worried about, have I done it? Have I done my job? Did he get it or not? And now I know we're fine. Now I know we're fine. And I have no idea what's coming next, except especially today. I haven't even told him this yet. I haven't told him a lot of stuff. I think, I don't even remember when that, I'm so far off the timeline. Honestly, I don't even remember how long ago that was. How long ago did I get the police call? Was it a month? Might have been over. Something like that. I actually don't know. But, what we're looking for is a smooth reaction. You don't, oh God, I don't know how to say this. We're after something specific. We're after a specific energetic, a kind of energetic exchange that is smooth with zero, like, I know you think I don't get this. You think I don't get this, but I do. I do get it. Zero force. You have to figure out where, well, not your job, it's my job. I'm doing it though. Where is the emotional major flinching spots? I know you've had them. I had the same thing. Remember when I was talking about the Virginal Guadalupe with the white hostile boundary like nobody's business. It's really thick. Nothing can get through. Nothing can penetrate. It was not not necessarily hostile, but it was something that it was so bright and so impenetrable. And I know that I had that around in 2013, I had that around me, and so did Josh. There was a different kind of exchange going on between Carmen and me. I was shown a different image that looked like a big Tylenol capsule where one side was dark and one side was light. It was an oblong, it was like a long oval. And there were different, they were essentially identical with all these different components. It looked like mitochondrial DNA. It looked like organelles in the cell, but there was a divide down the middle, and that specifically was a permeable membrane. So there were some things on her side that weren't on my side at all. Most of it was identical, except she had some things in hers that I didn't have any of. And that seemed to be like a real issue, not bad or worse, but just like pay attention to that. That's an important thing. And I have so much to say about the triad. So here's the thing, at some point there's going to be, I feel, I could be wrong, but I feel that there's going to be a cooperative cooperative collaboration where we talk about this, and we're trying to get to a number 5 grade triangle. Yes, and I know the way this works. The beauty of a triangular system is that we're instituting, from every position, you still have a choice. It affords a freedom of choice for all parties. There's, I'm going to be talking about it. There are a lot of different, I understand that there are a lot of different topics floating around right now. We've been dealing with issues of there's so much to talk about. I don't know how to do this. I know it needs to be organized, but from the place where I am right now, I can't do it. You know, it's so funny. You know, those, usually when I do live streams, they're like, I have like 4 or 6 pads of paper, and it's just all notes everywhere because I was trying to get it into a linear format, and it's just a plethora of tons and tons, hundreds of lists of things I want to talk about. I still have all of those, but we've moved into new terrain. So all that stuff is still going on, but it's happening. The information database scramble is happening. It's like coming down from above. The multiplicity of downloads, light codes, and it's just this explosion of knowledge. But getting it into a linear form, fortunately, more and more people are picking it up and beginning to teach, so that I don't feel, for a while I was feeling like I had to deliver all of that. And now I don't feel like I have to do that anymore, because I'm so glad. Lori Ladd, I discovered her. If you don't know her, go on YouTube and look up Lori Ladd for Ascension information. She's wonderful. And I actually felt very relieved. It was like, oh, I'm going to have to talk about this stuff because everything she says I agree with. Okay, I'm going to just go over there. because I really do have this core job that I really just need to focus on the information stream that goes back through history. And today I found some stuff. So first we're clearing up the blockages, and the blockages largely, when I discover them, I'm healing the flinch. Or if it's not a flinch, anything that arises, my job is to kind of go seek out the crap. I go into these areas like, what's painful? Let's go look right at it. I'm going to go find where the wounding is, and usually it's enough to simply shine light on it. Meaning you just look at it and you give it some attention. You say, oh, I see what this is. And now that I know what it is, you're fine. But I can make I can make a connection between this pain and say, I see what's trying, it's because of this. And I can see what things are getting cleared up. I can see what needs to be cleared up. And it involves going into the places where usually we tend to shy away from. Like, I don't want to look at that thing because that's the most hurtful spot. I want to try and put it behind me. I know I did that with the Joan lifetime, the Joan identity. When it first came up, I think for 3 years or 2 years at least, I was getting help with it. I was going to a celestial shaman, Kate Loy, on a regular basis. I was also doing just incredibly intense clearing. I was taking 2 salt baths a day. I was doing all of my time, all of it. Doing Ho'oponoponos, access consciousness. And when I say all of it, I mean all of it. I would take 2 salt baths a day and I would sit in the tub with access consciousness where, you repeat the clearing statements, and I would just clear and clear and clear and clear and clear and clear. Do Ho'oponoponos, do prayers. I had this huge list of laminated because I took it everywhere with me. I had prayers memorized, and I was just doing this so intensely because it works. But that's how much clearing actually needed to be done. But I was trying to get away from it. There's a difference when you deal with something and you're trying to escape something. Like, I never want to look at this again. My guys kept telling me to write a book, and I was like, fuck that. I don't want, I was scared to write about it because I didn't want to play around with mass consciousness, because I know that that's what that does. Like, I don't want it. They kept saying you can have this explosive bestseller and like global fame. And I talked to, like, Steve Rother mentioned it too. Like, you could write this book and this book could be really huge. And I'm like, I know, like, I see it too, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a household name. I'm scared of reclaiming that identity. That's where my biggest fear was. Stepping into the role of spiritual leader. I also didn't want to talk about negative things that happened, the same way I don't like to watch violence on television, because I don't want, especially like truths. I don't know. There's a way to approach that. I think I could do it now, but I definitely couldn't do it then. I'm not sure. I think it's possible that the entire window for that has passed, since now I'm nonlinear. And it's the very nature of a book is an incredibly linear thing. It's all sequential. It's all words. And maybe I'll get back down there. I'm not sure. We might be going in that direction. I would prefer to just kind of know about it and leave it, but I'm not actually sure if it could be something I'm stepping back toward, but I actually really don't know if it's possible to, I just, in higher dimensions, I'm like, okay, let's just be done. Let's just go create the new. Let's just go create the new. I never want to talk about this ever again. But there's a difference between when it first came up, I was like, I never want to talk about this again. Never. I'm never going to look at it. And that just means, like, if you're avoiding something because it's too painful and you hate it, especially if it's an aspect of yourself, well, guess what's going to perpetuate? You're never going to get rid of it. It's never going to heal if you just ignore it. You need to go look right at that trauma. And trauma that is that severe, you need to look at it. So, all parts of it. So fortunately, I've done that. And at this point, when I say, at first I had to integrate the identity because it was a part of me. So you have to learn to love the part of yourself, but that doesn't mean that you have to step back into the identity. Like, I'm not Joan of Arc now. I know for a fact that I was, and I had to be willing to talk about it from a place of being healed, as opposed to a place of, especially there, where there are elements still in that energy stream. When it first came up, I was still coming from a dark place where ego exists. So there was still a lot of resistance. So internal resistance, if you have internal resistance to something, and self-hatred particularly, I had a ton of self-hatred. Once, well, I didn't have is that true? I ask myself that a lot lately. Anyway, there were issues of internal conflict. You're really conflicted about something. It's going to show itself in your external environment a lot. So I found, I really just want to talk to Josh. There were a lot of things that happened. I've discovered about his past life history too, because we've dealing mostly with the lifetimes that we've shared when we've come down as twin flames to do specific spiritual, epic, what's the word for that? It's not an adventure. Let's go back. You go down and you do something. And then when you trace it back, like, okay, I've talked about it a little bit. Like we had David and King David and King Saul. In that lifetime, when I was the child aspect of King David, but Josh was King Saul. King Saul did a shit ton of work before he got before he was known then as the jealous king. And there was all sorts of crap that came up at some point. So when oh crap. I don't know how much of this he wants me to talk about, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes. But I would like to apologize, though. I haven't seen him in 7 years, 6 years, something like that. You know how with twin flames, largely, it's the feminine who's going first. We're doing most of the clearing and healing, etc. first. When I was clearing, you know, Joan of Arc was the messenger, and we're dealing with that energetic stream, which goes from King David, which is a lot of warfare there. Some of the deepest, most pervasive hostilities against Jews. There's all sorts of as toxic. I don't even like the word toxic anymore. Real hostility. If you look at why things happen in certain energy streams, when it is brave like no one's business to land on this planet the way it was at the time of King David, definitely before too. Extremely masculine dominated. Nothing but war. And once again, Josh got there before I did. And led his people very, very well. But didn't get the credit he should have. And we're seeing that pattern repeat. it repeats, and now it makes so much sense. I'm putting things on my wall. Please don't take me to court. And if you want to take me to court, I would prefer just send me an email saying whatever. Please don't. If you ask me from a personal perspective, what you're doing is bothering me, please don't talk about me. I won't. If I get information from an institution, it's going to engender automatically a different energetic response, because as an indigo, it's like one of those things that it's designed, we're just supposed to move that. That's specifically what we came for. So I don't know. And you're my twin. So here's my confusion, because and you're my twin and you know this. So there's information that I just haven't explained this very well. There are elements. Okay, we're at a juncture right now where there are just if you go back to what I was talking about with the tree trunk, there are timelines. There are. Okay, let me see if I can get this out. There are. Let's say that there were things in the David Saul lifetime that if you call that one particular energy stream and it's located, let's say if I'm looking at a cross section of a tree and it's back in time really far, so it's like there's a core wounding or something that's down here and it has a lot of violence in it and things that were unresolved between one energy stream and another. It's like there's this conflict that always happens with these, they're very predictable reaction. It's like the things in this energy stream have a very predictable way of acting toward elements in this energy stream. As we go up, we're moving from the core problem down here. Let's say there was something that was started, and inequality or jealousy or whatever. No, we're not talking about blame at all, because one thing this is absolutely true. Energies react before they hit form. When an energy stream moves through you and it's very, very strong, you cannot, I guarantee you, you got to forgive yourself for everything. Oh, I was going to talk about the baby too. Damn it. What are you doing on time? You've got to forgive yourself for everything that happened when you were in the process of purge or clearing, or when confronted with certain things. Like, part of this I just want to tell him in private. Certain villains got a really bad rap because they pulled a lot of dark energy to one side to kind of hold on to it so that the light side could get through. And in the David Saul lifetime, that was one of those things where, like, there's set up a rivalry only so stuff could start to move. Like, really, you're taking one for the team. And then he was slammed in that lifetime. King Saul was slammed with, for like forever, as being known as like the jealous king. I want to talk, it's not going to be today, but sometime I want to talk about why we set up certain imbalances way back there in order to get a certain movement, so that if that's the middle of the tree, so that by the time you get up here, there is such a huge discrepancy that something's going to happen, it's going to break. which is what we wanted. It was like, how do you get this thing to change into this other thing when it's so incredibly different? So you set up an imbalance that is designed to kind of perpetuate itself layer by layer by layer, and every single time the pain's horrible. And then you have to go back and fix a lot. So sometimes a one way to get through is the 11 gateway by reaching a point of balance you can get through. But sometimes, because we're trying to do two different things, many different things, but two primarily different things. You're trying to get the light out. You're trying to get everyone educated so they're spiritually developed, but you're also trying to separate the wheat from the chaff. So those who are, there's a certain amount of darkness, I've talked about this in the past, there's a certain amount of darkness that wants to be healed. It's accumulated pain that was never healed. So one of the reasons that so many light workers came to Earth at this juncture was because we needed so much of it to be felt. You have to feel it in order to heal it. So if you're constantly burying it and trying to patch up and suppress the pain, then it's not being healed, it's just being ignored. It's getting worse, not better. But you can't say that everything has to go light either, because it's a planet of free choice. Darkness has a right to exist as well. Darkness has a right to eat. So something that is just refuses, if you want to hold on to your pain, never deal with it, and accumulate, there's a whole, that has a right to exist, and it's going to exist whether we like it or not. There's another half that is just accumulated, half of darkness, a portion of darkness that is just accumulated pain, where the pain has been so severe that even if you worked on healing your pain your entire life, because you've been in so much of it, you're not able to heal it. Like lineages are like this. We've had a lot of lineages like this. And so many light workers starseeds came to Earth at this time to go into some of these lineages where, my God, there is a bunch of unhealed core wounding. Like, how could everyone think that this was a good solution? I don't mean for starseeds. I mean, like, some of these lineages where it just keeps going over and over and over. It's just getting worse and deeper and deeper and deeper. I'm going to turn on the oven. Hang one second, because I'm cold. And that's what I've talked about, where there are these grooves, these patterns that are so incredibly difficult to get out of, because largely the reactions or the responses of people are, they're endemic, that's systemic. Training, conditioning, but they're like core fuck-ups. Like, men are supposed to be strong and not deal with their emotions, and therefore you have basically an entire planet where the masculine side, it doesn't emote, doesn't take care of children. You know how it goes. So we're trying to rebalance the entire planet, and the only way you can do that is to go back and address reroute certain energy streams so that they can be healed. So one of the things I've been doing is, you go back to, I'm dealing with a certain group of people, like we're a really old soul group. But Josh is my masculine counterpart. I've been tracing back certain things on his dominant energy stream, and I pay attention to who else is in it. Like, so sometimes I'm talking about him, and it's not specifically him. It's like we're the dominant. You know how everything it's a hologram, fractals. if we adjust the dynamic between us, it changes the rest of, like, all of the rest of the pieces. So sometimes, even though I haven't had any contact with him in 6 years, and it appears from a third dimensional perspective, well, you know, like I'm a stalker, I'm obsessed or something, but really I'm trying to work out where the trouble spots are, where's the pain, where's the, in my own emotional, wait. In my own energetic stream, that where it can contain so many people, so many other beings, and I know why that's there. It's almost, yep, that's it. Where I've addressed all of the other imbalances, and now it, my guides for the last 7 years, and they did it in 2013 too. I remember it. I was having a problem in the physical world where I needed to find an apartment, and I seemed to be stymied. Every single thing I looked at, I don't mean just an apartment, I mean like every single solution to, I was having a particular problem that where I was absolutely stuck. And I couldn't figure a way to go forward, and I was really, really having a problem. And my guides kept telling me to go ask Josh. And so I did. And then I asked him, he didn't know. And so I know way more about why that was. I know all about it now. I didn't know about it then. But for the last 7 years, they've been telling me, directing me. I'm great at listening to my guides. What appears, to a third dimensional, from a third dimensional viewpoint, one might think one might view this circumstance and say, well, that person's obsessed. They're usually from a third dimensional perspective, they try to reach for a singular diagnosis that they understand. It's this person has an addiction. There, we diagnosed it. Now we know we found the flaw. And now we can like walk away. We don't have to look at that again. If your guide, from a higher dimensional perspective, if your guides, this is the way spirit communicates. If you are constantly thinking about something, and it goes around and around, and you try to ignore it, you busy yourself doing something else, you get hit in the head with this thing again. It's like this thing's constantly in your mind. Why? Why is it in your mind? It's going to be different reasons for depending on what level you go up. Now I know why it happens. Spirit is going to keep directing you to the answer, to the thing. I don't mean the thing you're looking for, because it's not necessarily him. Go there and look. You're going to find the answer. So in 2013, when I asked him about the problem that I was having in the world, I can't do this, and I can't do this, and I can't do this. I can't do this, I can't do this. Nothing I do is working. Why isn't anything I do working? I'm having a problem with my living situation, these bills, this, and it's all stalled. I can't see a way forward. That was basically the problem. I can't see a way forward. I'm stuck. And my guides kept saying, at this point, that was when we were still talking. I don't mean my guides, I mean with Josh. We were still talking then. My guides kept saying, in a very insistent way, go ask him. So I did. And he didn't know. He didn't have an answer for me. So because I asked him, because so that left me, I remember it. I remember being this, and actually, that's the, yeah, I just figured that out. Thank you. There's a, yep. Fascinating. There's a quality, a very specific, come to think of it, yeah, it was there too. Very specific quality of energy that comes at this particular juncture. This energy stream and this, and when they butt up against one another, you get like a 0 point, like a stall, but it's like, the upshot is I expected to be able to go through and was stopped. Progress was stopped. It's like I thought when I first asked him the question, my assumption going there was that, oh, he'll know, and so he'll tell me the answer, and then I'll have the answer, and I can continue my forward motion. That's what I thought was going to happen. And instead, he didn't know. So it was like, I'm kind of stalled. I can't get through this particular. There is a boundary there that is vibrational. It's a vibrational boundary. There's I've got to talk more about that different time. But yeah, there's where there's a misalignment or a misunderstanding. And it's a I don't know if it, okay, wait a minute. Okay, incoming information, sorry. I know this is a weird live stream, and I would like to make this I would like to, okay, please bear with me, or just don't listen. There's also a reason that the number of people who watch my live streams is small. I found that out yesterday. I was frustrated for a while. I know I'm departing from my previous, I was talking about that, but now I'm talking about this for a second. They want it's important to get, before I pick up a larger audience, which I will have. First of all, it's important that the energy stream be purified, and I need Josh on board. That doesn't mean he needs to talk in a public eye. I just need, right now I'm getting cross. There's information. I want to make sure that I get permission, and there can be no, in the energy transmission. Remember how before I'm finicky sometimes about like what's going to go out. It has to be clean, and there has to be absolutely no force, no reticence, no reluctance, but that doesn't mean that I don't feel it. I feel it. There's a certain level where force or perseverance, or like fake it till you make it, like push yourself through something. There's a certain level where that is appropriate. And you know, I did it, like my first live stream, I cried through the whole thing. I was having a hard time doing it. Once, okay, we're at this threshold where in the creation of the new, I'm going to be relying on his energy too. I don't think he's going to be in front of the camera. He can be if he wants. I would have no objection at all. But the point is, it has to be 100% in going into the fifth dimension, because we're stepping into a heightened creative space. Both parties have to be absolutely 100% yes, let's in alignment. And I'm going to need all of that energy to, and then the energy is going to go, it's going to flow better. It's going to be clean. Right now, we're still experiencing a certain amount of the misunderstanding. There's a communication barrier, in any particular, God, there it is. What do we even call it? There's a layer that's very, very thin, but it breaks our energetic stream or communication one time. And every single time we hit it, it's like the cusp of a realm right where at the intersection, thank you, at the intersection of spirituality and physicality, we're getting a block, repeatedly getting a block. So I can, on a certain level, let me say that differently. To a certain degree, I can plow through it and force myself to do it, but it's no longer appropriate. I can't then point that stream up. I can't work from, there's strata where that's completely inappropriate now. There's a very sharp flip in dimension, and many of us are doing that now, where for a long time, I had my diagram, down here in density, when it was clearing time, huge swaths of light workers have been doing this clearing work, and awakening was important, and we have to wake all these people up, and then we were dealing with disclosure. And as you go up, there are levels. It's like a gobstopper. It really is like a gigantic gobstopper. And every single level, there's a different task. There's something else is opening up, something else is clearing. And it's getting gradually clearer and clearer and clearer. It's moving faster and faster and faster. And then there's a threshold where there's a tipping point where it's less about having a reaction or response to the old vibrational strata, what you're clearing, where that no longer dominates. But it's a really, really fine flip. Almost like just paper thin. It's like you're in one realm and then whoop, now you're in a creative space. Once you cross this threshold, it's all new all the time. All new, all new, all new. And you can't, once you're out, you cannot look back and be working in that realm anymore. So we're right at this threshold right now. Josh's realm has been the realm of the physical. And it makes all the sense in the world that my realm has been the realm of the spirit. So when it makes all the sense in the world that, and it's appropriate, it was fine. When I, from a perspective of doing all of this spiritual work, I programmed some crystals, and that's a tangible object. It's like a bridge, physical object that is also itself a bridge between earth and spirit. That's why it's taking that form. And so I'm coming from an intangible realm with barely my feet on the ground at all. I'm really not ever embodied. Embodiment is my biggest challenge, which is why he's carrying the energies that he's carrying, because we are meant to balance each other. We are meant to help heal one another on an energetic basis. Doesn't mean he needs to come over to me and put on a Band-Aid. That's not what I mean. It's my deepest core wounding. Hang on a minute. Let me finish my first thought. I have been working I have been working very much in purely actually in interdimensional, upper interdimensional realms, and my challenge, my direction was to come down and find my way into embodiment, which I have a horrible time doing. So when I and I haven't had any contact with him in a long time. So by taking a physical action in the actual physical world that links an object from the earth, I programmed it towards strengthening our connection. His telepathy, I think I put in the box. I actually kind of don't remember. I know it was one thing. It was one clear crystal that was, well, it broke off from another one. Particularly, I chose that very carefully and programmed it. And then a tektite, black tektite, specifically things that went from space to earth. And I left that for him. So I don't know if he called the police or not, but the response to that was, and so there's been no communication from that side. So getting a communication, and so you can't pull, the same way you can't pull on just one side of a rubber band, any action that's taking place on one side is going to have a reaction on the bottom. There's going to be a corresponding response. So if I start from above and I come down to earth and leave a physical object, it makes sense. He also works in a gym. He's a gymnastics instructor. So I'll get back to that in a minute. It's an appropriate response, particularly because the last time before, issues of communication and speech being shut down have played a real big role in our joint history. The Queen Esther lifetime, where Queen Esther was nobody was supposed to speak to the king, like the whole thing about an institution that prohibits speech. Here we are with yet another iteration. That's why it doesn't bother me. It's coming up because we need to heal this particular issue. That's what it's for. Restrictions on speech and getting things flowing. So what is said is less important. We're looking for the flow, and we're looking for an ability specifically to verbalize yes or no on a personal level. We're trying to we're trying to get the energy streams to do something specific so that we can then have health in the collective, personally also, and the collective. We need personal liberties to be 100% respected, personal boundaries to be respected, where by verbalizing no, every person needs to be able to say yes or no, this is my preference, and not be shut down, persecuted for it. On the other hand, there is still a tremendous amount of force in the third dimension. Force or bulldozing something down is still a force that is required for institutions, etc. So we're not there yet, because what we're trying, remember I was talking about the circulation system, there's one on the top, there's one on the bottom, we're trying to get them to merge. What we're trying to do really in the ascension of the earth is get up to the fifth dimensional vibrational level, but the fourth density physical level. Right now, I know, is that true? We used to be in third density, we were carbon-based, and physical substance is actually becoming less solid. We're bringing everything up to fourth density. So a lot more light has to penetrate the physical form, which is happening. And then light is data, so everything's going to move a lot faster. We're going to be able to interface with new technology. But we're still dealing with, there are some levels where it's like we're already in the new system already. I was talking to Marie Therese about this, not for a couple of months now, but she and I always say that. It's like every time you go up in dimension, it's great up there. Like things happened already. It was fantastic. And then when you come down in dimension, every single level, it's like they still haven't done this yet. It's like traveling back in time. You basically are traveling back in time. You go down into destiny. It's like, I can't believe there are people who they haven't done this yet. But didn't we just do this? We just solved this thing and we fixed it. We're like, yay, we have this up here. And then you go down one level. It's like, holy crap. How can this hasn't happened yet? It's like going back in time. And that's where our frustration, so much of it, there's a lot of frustration. And we only want the lower levels to move faster because we know how much better it is when you get up there. Like, it's great up there. Come on. Hurry up. But so I'm working on bringing the higher dimensions down into, so we're going very slowly. We're going down and down and down and down. I'm never going to be into third ever again. There's a lot of sorting out that is still, I'm working a lot in the fourth dimension with populations, but basically everything I'm doing in the fourth dimension is like I'm kind of staying out of it and just, it's like hold still because there's so much chaos down there. I'm working a lot with energetic blocks, and I've been helping helping Josh with his timeline. A big chunk came this morning. This morning was fantastic. I had about 5 or 6 hours of amazing progress. And actually, it's so, yeah, I'm not going to talk about that right now. There's, we are going to talk again in person, though. Like, it's all working out beautifully. I've been worried for a really long time that we weren't making any progress. Like, never mind, forget it. Did we just have to trash the whole plan? And the answer is no. There were portions that we've missed our window, but it has morphed, actually gotten a lot bigger. Sometimes what you think or actually it was a twin flame mission for a while. It's true. We missed our third dimensional project. And the only reason we missed our third dimensional project, what we had originally planned for the third dimension, is because we were still in duality and we weren't quite there ready to harm. So that's fine. I can see why that happened. A tremendous amount of pain to be released. I think we've done a really good job working through that. Sometimes when you don't line up with your twin flame in the third dimension, but you yourself keep rising, your twin flame mission, your mission is turning into a group mission. It's getting larger. It's getting larger and bigger. So right now, I can't even say that now. I was going to say I couldn't go back to Divine. That's not necessarily true. It's not that I couldn't, but the mission itself has changed, and it's bigger. Do I want to say that about it? I can see certain things happening in energy, and I want to talk to Josh because there's certain things that I don't know if I damn it. I have a lot to say, and I feel like I would rather either put it into a private email or record a, I don't know how to do that though, record a private video and give him that, or speak to him directly. There are certain things regarding the energy stream of Charles VI, which you'd think, I get it. You would think, like, can we just stop thinking about this past life shit? Just shut up and just press on. Except, no. Because I know why, sir, and boy, did it make a lot of sense today. If you follow that fucked up energy stream, and you're in it, Josh, but so is a lot of other people. And every time I have to interact, like my father is in it. It's the same stupid energy stream. And boy, does that make sense. You think back to something, you're like, okay, that's why that happened. When energy comes through you, especially some of these really colossal energy streams that are particularly strong with really fucked up shit, and like violence or huge emotional reactions, that specifically, where it seems like, boy, that came out of the blue. I mismanaged this live stream. I want to order it in some way where I can make this point. You guys, you have to forgive all of the shit that comes out before the light gets in. For real. There's no way to go directly, to get through this crap and go directly to the light and only to the light and bypass all of the crap. Some of the bravest and strongest, in fact, light warriors have gone specifically into the worst, most pervasive, hardest ones to cure. These energy streams that are just perpetuating nightmares. If you're in one of these things, I know I incarnated into, apart from the past life history of Joan of Arc and all these things, I incarnated into physical bloodlines with different, that clash very strongly, specifically because it needs to be fixed and we have a window before we have to fix it. Everything. It's like vomiting. It's like soul vomit. When you pick this stuff up, when some of these really dark energies are being released, it looks really, really ugly. You have to feel it and express it. Please love one another through it. And recognize that what you see coming out of a person when they're in one of these, these periods of time where there's just an explosive amount of pain, please don't think that that's the person. That's a light warrior who is going through a major purge. There's, I was actually going to use this example. About, I don't know, probably 20 years ago, I was in a room one time where there was a pregnant woman, and it was her fourth child, and she had a new husband. She had 3 children with her first husband, and then she got a divorce, and she got a new husband, and she got pregnant again. It was his first baby, and she was about 8.5 months pregnant. And I overheard a conversation one time, and I never forgot it. I overheard it. It wasn't like she was talking to me. She was talking to her husband. And she was trying to prepare him for witnessing a childbirth. And the thing that she was most scared of, which I thought was kind of funny. It's understandable. I'm not really judging it because I wouldn't want to do it too. But she was really worried about this. I just remember thinking it was funny. She said, "You might see poop. You might see poop." She said, I don't know. All I'm saying is It happened with my first 3 kids. When the baby's head is coming out of the birth canal, there's a great deal of pressure. Everything that's in front of the baby's head, in terms of here's the mother's body, and everything ahead of there, baby's head's going to come down, and you might see a turd. That's what she was like. She was worried because she didn't want her husband to see her poop. Some might come out. You might see it. And she was already embarrassed about that, which it's understandable because that's one of the 7, I think it's 7 human universals. Everybody shits alone. You don't want people to see that. Well, you're the darkest waste, your most solid waste. A human universal is something that happens globally, regardless of culture, cross-gender, didn't matter. I forget what the other ones are. There are like 9 human universals, which we learned in graduate school, Martha Erlbacher's class. And I regret that's the only one I remember, is that across the board, no matter where you are, people go off by themselves if they're gonna poop. Everyone defecates alone. And I think it's because you're in a, whatever. You don't want people to see that. And she was worried because that, but I'm using it as an analogy because we're all in this position of birthing. We all want the baby. Like, come on, ascend the earth already. So many of us, we've been doing this like, holy crap. I saw a post the other day, isn't there a C-section for this ascension process? Because we've all, those of us who know better, we've been doing it, and you could not work any harder. And like, Jesus Christ, will this be done already? And we've been pushing and pushing and pushing uphill. But before the light comes in, the darkness has to leave. The new light codes can only come in at the rate that we can get the rest of the darkness out. So we're going through these contractions, these spasms, this pain, processing our darkest crap. And the new light codes are coming in, but it's not done for us. We're doing it. We're birthing the new earth. And we are going to get the baby at the end. We are going to get the new earth. But we have to go through this process. And the most solid waste is that which we can't, sometimes we don't want to face it. You don't want your husband to see you shit. But if you can't shit in front of your husband, look at that that discomfort is my only point. I'm not saying shit in front of your husband. No, I'm saying examine where the fear of being vulnerable takes you. Examine the discomfort. What specifically are you afraid of? What would it mean if somebody saw your flaws, all of them? What would it mean if somebody saw the thing that you're most terrified that they'll see? That being basically the core of all of it. Where is the biggest squirm for you? Where is the auto flinch? That's what I want to call it. The auto flinch, like the really big one. Or maybe you have a couple. But I know, boy howdy, I found mine the other day. And I was so glad. And I was going to, yeah. It's not like I haven't known about it. I've known about it. But we're not there yet. And this is why there's no twin flame union in the physical yet. But it was important to find it was important for me to track down, this is what I spend my time doing. I'm not stalking you is the point. If you're the one who called the police, no, I'm not stalking you. What I'm after is personal healing, which keeps leading me to you. And I listen to guidance. There's a issue that keeps leading me to you, not necessarily from this. It's not from this lifetime. It's not from this lifetime. It is from although it has been repeated in my lifetime, in this lifetime, because it's a core issue and I'm here to solve it. So the reason I keep going over, and the reason I can't get my twin out of my head, is not because, even though sometimes it takes the form, especially early on, if you've got a twin, you will recognize there's like certain levels that you go through on the twin flame journey where it's very like graspy and panicking, like I need my twin, like oxygen. That's not it. That's just a level where you're processing panic. Let's put it that way. There's a level where you're processing core abandonment issues for probably the feminine collective on the globe. There's very strong feminine abandonment issues. There's very pervasive, and we are all. If you're a twin, there's core. Even if you're not a twin, there are core wounds of humanity. There are certain core wounds that are so pervasive and in everyone that it's like almost everyone has a version of this. So when we come down, we install a twin flame grid, whether you're a real twin or a false twin or an echo twin or whatever kind of division you decide to. There's a patterning, and not everything is bad. Like when you go into these patterns, twin flame groups, you discover your twin flame, you're like, what the hell's a twin flame? Or that other people are searching for their twin flame. All of these things, they get ridiculed, and it's understandable because you definitely don't want to stay there. It's like the terrible twos get ridiculed. But is it a necessary step to growth? Yeah. So when you're in there, the thing to do when you have a toddler throwing a tantrum is to love them through it and say, this is the part. Remember that SNL thing a long time ago? Now's the time on Sprockets when we dance. Yeah. Now's the time in your development when you throw a tantrum. This is you throwing a fit. This is like, if you can have that kind of matter of fact, like this is the time in adolescence when you do X, Y, and Z that everybody hates. This is the time when you smell. This is the time when, all of your terrible behavior will come out now because you're in this process of development. So if you focus on the development, when you go down into the third dimension, when you come back up, let's say you're down a third dimension and you discover your twin flame, or you go through the awakening process, and it is not in any way, of course it's not, glorious the way you thought it was going to be, or the way Hallmark presents it, the way you hoped it would be in the third dimension. And like I remember when I was pregnant with Calico, I'm sure I'm not going to get into the whole story, but I remember when I was pregnant with Calico, and I wanted to try channeling for the first time, and I got that book, Sinead Roman and Dwayne Packer, Opening to Channel, because I was a big fan of Cryon. It was like 15 years ago. Loved Cryon. I went to Cryon all the time, and I read all the books. And I wanted to do that, and greetings, dear ones. This is Cryon of Magnetic Service. And I'm like, oh, I want the lavender clouds and sparkles. I want a fluffy aura too. And we have this idea that awakening is going to be like this shaft of light, and it's going to come down on us, and like, oh, now I understand. It's unity. We all love one another. We're all happy. It's more like a series of explosives. that go off in you constantly. And it's just a process, the most destructive process. That doesn't mean you're not going to get to be the ray of light. You are, and we are, and it is this realm, right? When you get there. But before the process, you're gonna go through level after level after level. You're going to shed your ego, and your ego is going to have a fit. Your ego is going to throw flying conniptions, and you're going to lose your family, your friend could. Your family, your friends are going to change. You're going to lose people you thought you couldn't lose. People are going to react to you very strongly when you start to really shine your light. Very often you're going to wind up being a catalyst for others, and people that you love, that you just walk in the room smiling, you just want to say hello and you want to give a hug, and that suddenly they hate you because now your vibration is different from theirs, and there's an energetic bandwidth differential that, like, either you'll be ignored, they can't even recognize that you're around, and nobody can relate to you. There's a process of loss, all of your old grief. It's a very destructive process. And I might say too, that the deeper you go, the more transformative the process, the deeper you go into the alchemical process of a cauldron of transformation. Everybody wants to be the phoenix, but you have to realize that the phoenix gets burned and gets burned to ashes before there's a resurrection. And it's that process that is really hell, for real. And a lot of trauma is going to come up, and to different degrees, depending also kind of on how far you want to go. There are some of us who are, I picked up a shit ton of it to do, but I didn't just pick it up for this lifetime. I had a shit ton of stuff to do because of all the stuff that I did previously. It's kind of like, I've never seen a dirtier house. I've never seen a more cluttered house. And your spirit guide comes and says, yeah, this is your house. This is your job. This is what you have to do. It's a mausoleum. You have to clean the whole thing. This is all you have to unearth. And it's like archaeology too. You're going to unearth everything in your history. Not everyone has to do that. And I also might add that you don't necessarily have to go back and go through all of your past lives. One of the things that happens when you first begin, when you first begin to wake up from a place of having a third dimensional perspective, we're not even anchored into 3D anymore. Right now, we're still getting a lot of third dimensional behaviors because it's because of the belief barrier. The belief barrier is still largely in place, but the matrix of the third dimension is not. We're no longer anchored there. Even people who are basically living a third dimensional model, the matrices is gone. Where was I going with this? What was I saying? I'm going to listen to this tomorrow, and I know that it was really chaotic at the beginning. And when I came on this live stream, there's certain things that I really want to tell Josh. Because I parked outside of Excel, the gym, and stayed there for 2 hours, even though I was just going to drop off Calico. But when Excel is where Josh teaches. And my daughter, I wasn't stalking, my daughter was in there. His daughter was in there too. But my daughter was in there and I had to wait for her. So I waited in the parking lot because she didn't want me to go in. She said, if you go in where Josh is there too, it's the only thing I'm going to be able to think about. So it's going to distract me. So I want you to stay in the car. And the entire time, so I said yes, but many things came up when I parked there. And that's when I realized that's why I'm here. I parked here because I have to sit in this feeling. I have to sit in this feeling and examine. It never has anything to do with your twin. Not really. Your twin is you. So if you can't solve your twin problems from your own position, all of your twin, it's never about having your twin do anything. Even though, yes, I would like him to call me. Josh, you should give me a call. But if you can't, energy happens before form. And you share an energy body. It's the same energy problem. So, and I know more about the energetic realm at this point. It's not that he doesn't know, because he does. But we took different positions so that we can do something specific. The realm that he's most comfortable in, most stable in, is the realm of the physical. Teaches gymnastics, was a competitive gymnast, very comfortable in his physical body, teaches girls gymnastics. So all of my weakest areas where my core, not only my core wounds and wounds from the Joan lifetime, because absolutely that's there. Absolutely. Huge amount of body shame from the Joan of Arc lifetime, public vaginal exams over and over and over and over and over and over, issues about like scrutiny for imperfections. Has she been touched? Is there a flaw in that lifetime? But that also carried over into this lifetime, where in my entire life, issues of body shame. My mother put me on a diet when I was 5. My first diet, I was on diets constantly. Lived in Hollywood. My father was just issues of, I won't even get into my history, but my weight was monitored for various reasons. Monitored, I mean, scrutinized. My parents, both of them, on opposite sides of the country, had so much over concern with my body, like I was either ill or basically issues of embodiment, particularly as a female. Huge amount of body shame. I'm not even going to go into it, but I could probably do an entire live stream about like hours talking about specific things like histories of eating disorders and, breast reductions. Some of the most severe, most concentrated and repetitive body shaming, I don't know what to call about that, environments I've dealt with in this lifetime, and we're also dealing with issues from a leftover from the Joan lifetime. So my difficulty is in being embodied, because every single time I land, it's a trauma just to be in a body. And the starseeds that I represent a lot have a very difficult time too with embodiment. Most of us don't want to be here. We want to pop out. We want to leave as much as possible. There are issues with suicide too. I'm going to get that a different day, but we want to leave. So what I discovered, though, when I was sitting in the parking lot of the gym, and I just pulled in by the window because that was the parking spot. parking spot by a window. I pulled in, and I had intended to just drop Calico off, and I was going to go drive and do something else. And I can't remember. It's like my phone ringing, but for some reason I wound up pulling in and doing something, and then I started getting spirit communication that it was really like I started noticing stuff about my body, like your certain things will trigger an awareness, and I know that I should pay attention to this. It's also a couple of things that Calico said when she said, "Don't come in," but I paid attention to that because the previous time, I know I'm getting the like personal history, but it relates to groups, and it relates to the way it relates to spirit communication. And so even though it's my own personal experience, the point that I'm trying to make is that you should watch if you're going through something like this process too, whether you're a twin or not, twin flame, the unite with a twin flame, we've all heard these things now, I am my own twin. Yes, that's true, but it's actually both. You are your own twin, but you also have, many of us actually do have a physical counterpart as well. But you can't get to your physical counterpart by expecting they haven't done their part. A lot of us feel that way because so often the masculine side isn't showing anything yet. The reason they're not showing anything yet is because the feminine has it. You've got to fix your energy stream needs to be aligned, and whatever work you do is going to be, they're doing it too. You're the same person. You're different in different bodies. You're different people. You're individual people, but you're sharing. You're sharing the same core soul. So you've got an aspect. I've got an aspect, and we're working on the same thing, but what I've discovered, I know Josh is anchored in the physical because one of us had to, and remains stable because my aspect of it was shut off out of body completely, and took me really, 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 really long time to get remotely back. And then I was only attached to him by like the silver cord and still not embodied. I couldn't find my body for a really long time. And so the reason your twin will stay stable and anchored and relatively unmoving if you're flipping out and going through your process is because it's like you work like legs. Like it's not going to you're not going to travel well as easily if both legs are moving at the same time. Yes, you could hop. It's probably less efficient. You work like legs where one's stable so one can go off and do, I'm having an emotional flip out day. And then this one will stabilize and this one will process something. If legs go like this. Anyway. I want to backtrack to you in a bit. Preface. I want to talk about the gym issue. I was parked in front of the gym, and I want to talk about that because it actually really did give me a tremendous amount of insight into my own crap. And sometimes when you appear to be a third-dimensional person or seen from that lens, you might think, well, that person's just a stalker. They park, they look at they look here, and it's creepy. We find it creepy. We don't know what you're doing. We think it's creepy. Go away. You're not going to get progress that way. Certain things came up for me because I was in physical proximity. Also, I'm in no way threatening whatsoever. There's a massive difference between somebody actually threatening you and you feeling threatened. There's no reason at all to feel threatened by me. I can't imagine why anybody would. But if you do, just tell me that. But that doesn't mean that I can necessarily stop what I'm doing if it affects only me. Anyway, my point is I was parked outside XL, and when I was looking inside, and I saw Calico, my daughter Calico, with her cheer team, and I saw that Josh, my twin, was in the back portion of the gym. He looked great, and I saw his daughter. She looked great too. Both of them just looked fantastic. But because of that, I was able to observe my own stuff that came up when I was in proximity, particularly because there was the 3-to-1 ratio. You know, I'm always saying there's a 3-to-1 ratio. And pay attention when you see a set of 4 and 1 is doing one thing and 3 are doing something else. There are 3 that are in the physical space, physical realm. It's XL Gem. Also, there's an X in the name. And I follow letters too. I'm tracking a lot of things. And there are certain energy streams where there are going to be very predictable elements. And what you have to do is say, okay, what do I see in this cluster? And where else? So here's one wounding. Or here's something that comes up whenever these groups, it's like ingredients. Whenever these ingredients combine, you get this. If I want to find this thing, where do these ingredients happen again? And then I can look at like my cross section of the tree, like my coil timeline, and I can say, okay, it's happening here and here and here. So there's going to be some sort of an interval. And then I can look at it and see, is this getting more severe or is it healing? Now, either way, you're going to want to heal it, either way. And when you heal it, as soon as something is healed, the interesting thing is that the timeline collapses and you don't have that issue anymore. You don't have these, like, sometimes there are bastardized timelines that aren't supposed to be there, that only are, that only branch off sometimes because there's been some kind of colossal fuck up. And when you adjust the fuck up, everything goes, and it's like, then it's smooth. It's like, you don't have to worry about that one coiling off and doing it. Like sometimes you find areas and it's like, this was just fireworks of, if you find painful elements that repeat throughout history, try and track it back to where this started, or where there's a pattern of darkness. And if you can disrupt that, you can heal the whole thing, and then you're not going to have a problem. And then, like, if you heal the core thing, everything else on that trajectory, that you adjust it at the same time. Like if you can find the big whopper and take out that splinter, everything else on that trajectory, it's like, and it's all healed. You can heal the lineage going forward. Like just the same way your ancestors fucked you up in your own life, whatever you heal for yourself, your descendants don't have to deal with that anymore. And you're creating healing for your entire line going forward. So that's why I track back so much stuff. It's not like I'm obsessed with my own lineage. Actually, I don't have really any personal. The reason the Joan of Arc karma is my last karma. Granted, it's huge fucking karma. So let's say the only thing you have to eat left is this one elephant. But it is my last karma. I found, wait, I'm on like 5 different topics. Before I went to the gym this last time, Calico goes there periodically. I think it's like twice a week now. And the last time I had dropped her off, and not that this isn't the time that I that I had to stay there for 2 hours and do a lot of internal work, which I then recognized, like, okay, this is the work that I'm supposed to be doing right now when I sat in the car. What's coming up for you, and why are you so incredibly uncomfortable here? I had to, and then also it was so interesting because when I was sitting in the car, as I was feeling all of these feelings, I realized I really had to pee. I was in the car for 2 hours and my bladder was getting fuller and fuller and fuller. But Calico had asked me not to go in and I wasn't sure I wanted it. She said, I don't want you to see Josh, because if Josh is there and you see him, or if the two of you are in the same space, because first she said, come in and watch me. She had asked me there, come in and watch me. And I was going to. And I was all set to do that. But then when we got there, she said, don't come in. Because she said, Josh is there, and if he's there and you're there in the same room, I'm just going to feel uncomfortable, and it's going to, and she said, it's going to be the only thing I can think about, and I'm going to be distracted. So that brings up issues of how important are my feelings versus somebody else. It brings up issues of feeling unwanted, or basically not, it's not like I was hurt by that. Actually, it wasn't. It just brought the issue up. And then when I sat there, I realized that it was feeling edgy and uncomfortable because I could see Josh. I haven't seen him in a really long time. And this is the first time I've actually laid eyes on him in quite some time. And I could see Camilla, who I had loved Camilla. She's really tall now. She used to be my son. I've had a lot of lifetimes with her. I don't even know if she remembers me now. But I could see both of them in the back. And then Calico was in the front, and I could watch her. So I was enjoying watching Calico. But then I was sitting with my own discomfort. So it would have been much easier and more comfortable to simply drive away, run my errands, get my stuff done, put my mind on something busy, stay in my comfort zone of cheerful, get something accomplished. But that's not where the actual work needed to be done. The work needed to be done. Also because I'm coming off having been called basically a stalker. Don't contact this person anymore. We're going to call the police. Well, I'm not contacting you, but it leaves a flavor, you know, it leaves a flavor kind of that, like, you're unwanted and we are going to call the police and call you a criminal if you do this more. Even though I don't quite understand it, I don't quite understand, that's really less the point. Because the point is never about, as much as we want to be persevere and get a reaction out of that person, that's really not what the issue is. It's really not. You want your twin to do something, so you poke them with a stick, or you pss, pss. It's more good natured than that. But you know what I mean? Like, we're dealing with energies. The platform of the problem is all about emotional expression. The issue of not speaking, historically, particularly if we're talking, I mean, the whole reason that we came down in twin flame formation on a grid was because there are issues on the planet that are emotionally based that we need to grasp them, deal with it appropriately, manage it, rerun it, transform it, transmogrify the entire system. So if you're avoiding it to stay in your comfort zone, that's never going to happen. And you can't ever, always, it's never about what's going on out there. Even though you came down to deal with the external world because it's a bunch of crap and it's all, we've got slavery and hang on. We've got all kinds of crap. screwed up systems and politics and rioting and human trafficking. What else we got? All the fucked up crap we got. And we came down, we descended en masse, millions of us, starseeds land to fix the earth. And we're going to, we are. But having said that, it's never about creating an external change, because you can never change anything external. The entire world is your mirror. So the only thing you can do is stand in front of your mirror, which is you. So your twin flame is going to be the closest and most intense mirror that it's possible to get. Everything's your mirror, but your twin flame, if you have one, is going to be where that is most saturated, most strongest. And okay, that's what I wanted to say. This is where you're going to find the inescapable squirm. The thing that you, because we all have egos, the thing that you're going to have to come face to face with yourself in the most intense way. Like a good therapist will cause you to face yourself and deal with all your own stuff. A twin flame is going to bring up, push it's just the dynamic. It does, okay, that doesn't mean that, so on the twin flame path, I didn't think I was going to talk about this at all. On the twin flame path, there's almost always a separation. And a twin flame, yeah, kids, it's not a romance. If you think it doesn't mean it can't have that aspect, but it's like a bouquet of hyperelectric flowers. Every single aspect is represented. It's a cluster. The entire package of just every issue is going to be there. So is there a romantic flower in there? Sure, you could have a romance. You could also have, but everything, it's going to be everything. And it is going to be as electric, as intense a connection as it's, the point being, you could spend lifetimes with a therapist trying to get to the thing that you are really, 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 really great at escaping. Really great at hiding that one thing that you hate the most, that you can't possibly face it. You can't do it. It's too hard. It tears you down to absolutely nothing. It's a pain that is so, you know, if you do really, really deep inner work, something that you don't like about yourself or something, whatever your worst trigger is. And often we come down as these incredibly sensitive beings. So we go into these dark places to do transformative work. And I know that it's like I could do a really, I'm not saying I do, but I could do a really great job, maybe, at pretending I'm doing well. Like I could make myself into, look pulled together, let's say. Or not. But let's say I do a good job at pulling myself together one day. You can conveniently, if you're good at it, almost everybody has an ego that's deft at avoiding the thing that they don't want to see. Don't make me look at that. I'll look at, I'm really good. I will be brave and look at all of this other stuff. but don't make me look at that one thing, because that's the whopper. And I have PTSD in this life. I had PTSD as Joan. I've had PTSD really, really bad, symptomatic, really bad. Had it all through college, severe PTSD. I went through all kinds of trauma therapy. And then when I got married, I went through a period of time where I was asymptomatic and I thought it was gone until I got triggered again. And then when I got divorced, I just went like, boy, howdy, was that not gone. I didn't even know about the Joan issue. And then when the Joan identity came back, all of that trauma came back, and issues about being scared to be in a body and all kinds of things. So I watched my own reaction when I parked outside Excel. And I just noticed, the first thing that happens is I just noticed there's a 3-to-1 ratio. Here we are, and it's this thing, and he's my twin, and I have the context under these conditions, and I'm sitting here, and I noticed myself have kind of an uneasy, like I wasn't really feeling I wasn't really feeling rejected per se, as I was feeling unwelcome. Like, don't go in there, you can't go in there. It's a gym. Everybody else has got lots of other people walking in. Mostly women. Josh is in there, but all of the gymnasts, all of the cheerleaders are there. Not a jealousy thing at all. That's not at all it. But it was something like, it was what I have always felt, like everybody but you. Not even that I necessarily wanted to be there, but it was so pervasive in my history, in my upbringing, being so incredibly different, unwanted, unwelcome, whatever. So I just noticed it. And then rather than driving away and leaving it, I'm like, that's okay. I could go in if I wanted to. And I'm sure I could have. It's not like I think they're going to, chase me out with sticks. I don't even think they're necessarily going to tell me to leave. And there's a bathroom in there, and I could have gone inside to pee. It's not like I'm playing that card like, nobody wants me, everybody hates me. That wasn't it. It's not about feeding the woe is me or the victim pattern. All I'm doing is sitting with it and noticing it. And then noticing okay, so what is that connected to? Where is the intensity? Where's the squirm? What is it about this thing that do you ever watch your emotions, like your emotional ecosystem, and you're like, okay, I can sit and experience this discomfort, and now I'm feeling this discomfort. And so there's a point where you kind of get comfortable in a certain degree of discomfort. Like, I'm no longer trying to avoid it. I'm just going to sit with it. And here we are. So here's your space. But then I was feeling around with it, like knowing that this is the work that I came to do. Knowing that there's an energetic stream that I'm trying to clear, and I seem to have hit this hotbed. My twin's in there. I hadn't been in I haven't seen him in a really long time. It has to do with children. Both our daughters are in there. They're not talking. Calico asked me not to go in because she feels it's going to be awkward. And then I was also told by the police not to write any more emails. So it's like there are all sorts of things that are boundary. So it's issues of boundary, issues about boundaries. So I sat with that for a little bit. How do I feel about this boundary? If the boundary shifts, how are my feelings shifting with my idea of the way the boundary looks? I tried this for a while. I just was playing with the energy, and it's not really about playing so much as it is feeling where is the worst of it. That's really what I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find the worst of it. Sometimes you try to find you try to make yourself more comfortable, but when you're dealing with clearing energetic blocks, the healing work, there are enough people who are going to work on the avoidance. You really don't need to work on that anymore. What you need to do is, if you're trying to find a way in, or if you're trying to create union, let's put it that way. If you're trying to create union, be it with somebody else or with yourself, find a place of peace. You're not going to do that by identifying your pain as a problem. Let's say it that way. You can't even identify, you can, but it's not going to lead you anywhere good. If you identify your pain as a problem, you're going to get continued pain. The way you work through it, and I'm not saying you can't, I mean, I just took some Advil before, and I've got fibromyalgia. I'm no stranger to physical pain either. Just being in a body for me is painful, really painful. And I'm not saying that you have to be focused on the pain or do something that makes you hurt and do it more and more and more. That's not it. Gently hold the pain and sit with it and say, where is this coming from? Where is it? Also, I did ask for angelic help. Okay, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to sit in a space of emotional, it's like a big emotional bruise. A big emotional bruise. And I'm just going to like sit here with it and kind of mentally use essence of Armonica, love of Armonica, and just see if I can get myself not comforted, but just soothed or acknowledged. It's really just about acknowledging it. What is this really? Is it coming from this lifetime? Is it coming from, it's not. How were you raised to treat this kind of thing? And then what else is it connected to? Like, I've been really dealing a lot lately with not so much my own lineage, but within a particular lineage. I was looking at my father's lineage, and then the lineage that Josh is in or has been in that he's healing. That's really strong in my father. My father, actually, I think, I haven't spoken Josh in a long time, but I'm looking at certain elements that my father has a humongous, he's dead now. Certain things were really, really strong. So I've been looking in his lineage, his energy stream lately, looking at issues of, I don't like the word toxic masculinity, but hugely damaged masculine issues about rage, blame, and it's not like women don't have it too. It was my father, it's running through me. But I had to go back and find certain things, like where was this where the child portion got completely damaged, completely suppressed, and pounded out by something else that said this person's emotions are vastly more important than your preference. This person's desires are of utmost importance, and this person's desires don't matter at all. This person's going to plow this one and just get their way. Let's look at how are we with that. Most of the time in some of these huge energy streams, the propulsion, the push in a particular direction is something that can't, I've said this before, it's like you have to get in front of it and tap your brakes. You're not going to be able to, most likely, it's very unlikely that you would be able to solve it in one fell swoop because they're so huge and it's gone everywhere. There are ways to do it. Anyway, in the parking lot, I sat there with it for the whole 2 hours. And I do this to myself. I did some very good work. And then that was proceed. So it's interesting because I realized that it was just at that threshold, literally the threshold, like the threshold of the gym. It's this location. So it's almost like the same way my guides have been saying, Josh, 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 Josh. It's not the obsession about the person. It's about this is where your core issue is. And if you go there, you will see it, which is true. And so I didn't go there intending to, like, I'm going to park in front of the window and stop it. No. I didn't go in because I'm trying to be respectful. Nonetheless, boy, did I get it. When I parked, two things happened. A number of things happened. I parked there and did my inner navigating, energetic clearing, et cetera, the entire time. And then for a while, I rolled my windows down because I was feeling like I wanted a boundary too. That's the thing. You may not know that. So it's not like, I wish I could have gone in and she told me I can't go in, so now I have to stay in the car and I feel rejected. No, that's not it at all. All you have to do is sit with it, like, what are these facts and what is it telling us about the way the energy is moving? Every force evolves a form, not the other way around. So you don't have to go into the world of form and then just go chase everything. That's never going to work. What I started to say earlier, I wish I had organized this live stream differently. In 2013, when my guides told me to go ask Josh, but he didn't know the answer, that really stopped me in my tracks. And it was the answer, but he didn't have it. But when he was there, I got it. So one of the ways that we work with our twins, it's not that it's almost like your power is amplified. It's like I was able to access, sometimes I can do this with other people. And actually the network, when it's running properly, when it's, swear to God, word to my mother, when the energy network is all running properly, we will be able to just get answers from other people. It happens a lot when I'm talking to somebody on the phone. I can think about something by myself over and over and over, and I'm trying to figure something out. And then as soon as it happens with Zoya, it happens with a lot of people when I talk to them. As soon as I have another person and I'm telling them the problem, suddenly I get the answer. And it didn't necessarily come from them, but sometimes it does come from amplified, I don't know what it's, amplified brain power. But they didn't have the answer. I did, but something about the exchange, the flow, gets everything running. That is way amplified when it's your twin. So in 2013, when they told me to go ask him, and he didn't have the answer, it sparked a train of thought that was the answer. And this train of thought that it sparked was that, because on some level, I hadn't remembered the Joan of Arc issue, and I hadn't remembered how he and I were connected yet, but there were certain things that were beginning to emerge in my consciousness, and one of them was that, like, wait a minute, I'm having a problem in the third dimensional realm of physicality. And this is his, I knew this even then. This is his realm where it's like, this is his realm of expertise. And if anybody I know would have this answer that I'm looking for, particularly when my guides told me to go ask him, it would be him. So what does that mean? if he doesn't have the, if you look at it from a broader perspective, energetic perspective, if you go chasing your twin for an answer specifically, it's just fucking annoying. Badger, 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 but it's not about the answer. It's about the energetic stream, always. It doesn't mean you can't get the answer. You could. But what that told me in 2013, because it sparked a memory, actually, that if this is his realm, a realm of physicality, and that's his realm of expertise, and it's like he owns it, it's his jurisdiction. If it's his jurisdiction in this group, like the Ascension Ark, there are different jurisdictions. And if this is his, and if anybody would have this knowledge, it would be him. So if he doesn't, what does that mean? And then I suddenly remember the Gordian knot. You know a Gordian knot? A Gordian knot was the knot that can't be untied. It could only be cut. And when it is a rule of interdimensional travel that if, and actually lateral strategy altogether, if you're ever in a situation where there is no solution, this is true for basically all interdimensional travel, and I think, who was it? Is it Einstein? Somebody said the problem can't be solved from the level that created it. That's absolutely true. If you get into a situation where there is no further lateral move at all, you're stuck. No matter where you go, it's a no. The only way you can get out from that position is to go up a level. That you have to go into spaciousness. If you go back to just simple geometry, if you're in the point of a triangle and you're stuck because it's too pinched, you're at the bottom and you're pinched and you've got no options. You can't go left or right. The only way to get more space is to go up. This is where all the space is. Here's where all the pinched is. If you want to go down into structure, this is a good rule to just remember. If you want to go down into structure and have more control and more solidity, more stability, more form, then you have to go down. If you want to go, if you want more freedom, go up, because you're going to have more space, more options. That's the rule. But what happened in 2013 is that he didn't have the answer, and I suddenly remembered, like I really remember this realization too, because I was puzzled. The first thing I did was I just got puzzled, and I stopped, which happens a lot when I interact with him. It's happened before. A couple of times. Like one time I won't even get into it. But one time I gave him a hug kind of spontaneously, and there was like this, it was just a pause. Like I don't know what I thought. I don't know. I was just going to give him a hug. And I did. I gave him a hug, but there was like this there was a like essence of misunderstanding in that moment where I was suddenly puzzled because it's like something wasn't right. I don't know what was it, but something wasn't right. But it's like this, like there's a puzzle. You reach a point of stall. There's like a short, that's what I mean to say. There's like a short in a circuit that usually runs. And then you're running, you're running, and everything's fine. All of a sudden, it's like there's a jolt, and everything stops. If that happens, go up. Yeah. Because when that happened, when he didn't have the answer, I realized that you have to go up. And that's what sparked my realization. It's like, wait a minute, that's my realm. And up until that point, I had not remembered that that was actually my realm. That's what I'm here to do. The dynamic, the twin flame dynamic, I really do want to get this part out. I think Calico's going to come home. She's actually at Excel now. She might come walking in the door in a minute. The thing about twin flames is that, so this This is so interesting. You know how on the twin flame journey, especially at the beginning, you get, there's a predictable path of discovery. And a lot of people, they don't get much higher. They gotta stay down here. You realize they're twin flames. And then there's a lot, especially down at the bottom of the triangle in the third dimensional paradigm, there's really this issue, like your twin is the other half of you. Your twin is the other half of you, and it's the missing part, your missing piece, you're missing half of your soul. And then when you get a little more mature than that, there's a whole swath of, you know, you're complete on your own, and they're still vying for who's right. You're complete on your own. You don't need anybody. There's all that. And then a little bit above that, everybody says, I am my own twin flame. I've given up on all this twin flame. Basically, they're giving up on duality, and they're aiming toward unity, but it's easier to do it. And yes, you are your own. Yes, you have to balance your own masculine, feminine. Yeah. It's even harder to do it with somebody else also when your energy bodies are actually merged and you do it. But the point I started to make is that it's not that your twin carries, having said that, we did do a lot of energy swapping though. So there's that too. It's not so much that your twin is going to carry a missing aspect of you, because first of all, if your energy bodies are the same, you have access to, you both have access to the same masculine and feminine stream. It's the same one. It's just happening in two different bodies. So for a while, they're misaligned. Very often, they're totally misaligned. One's going apeshit crazy, and the other one's like seems dead to the world or something. Usually there's one that's very overactive and there's one that's not. And then gradually those things bounce, but it's still happening into people. It can be more than two people too. Because larger beings, you know this, can very easily go into multiple people. However, it's not so much that your twin is your complement and the one, there's a huge misunderstanding in a lot of people about what your twin does. But the way I want to say it is, the way my guides showed it to me, is that there were, in 2013, my guides showed me two pizzas. And my guides showed me two pizzas and a dead, rotting blue whale. And the dead, rotting blue whale was full of toxicity and really disgusting. I didn't want to go anywhere near it. And it was laying in in this vision, it was on my ex-husband's house where I used to live. And that represented what I still had to get through, digest, basically integrate, process all of my, all the horrible crap left over from the Joan of Arc lifetime. My guide said, and this is really the way spirit communicates. Sometimes you'll get a vision and it won't make any logical sense at all. My guides had said, you've got to eat this blue whale. Not literally. You've got to digest this blue whale. And when you're all done with that, hi, Annie. And when you're all done with that, we'll give you a pizza party. And they showed me two pizzas, two full pizzas. We'll give you a pizza party with you and one other person of our choosing. So I've thought about that. You can go in there if you want.
before you continue?
Yes.
Is this neck clip?
Yes.
I'm gonna take it.
Please make sure, Calico, change your clothes before you, if you're crawling into my bed, stay on your side of the bed and definitely get ready for bed and don't wear those sweaty clothes in my sheets.
I'll take the jacket off.
No, take all of it off. Ew. I'm finicky about my sheets.
Off move.
Calico, yeah. So I think I'll wrap it up right after I say this part.
No, keep going. I want to go to sleep.
I'm gonna wrap.
Take your time.
No, thanks. It's not all about you, though.
Ow.
What I have found, I think this is accurate, regarding the pizza analogy, which I like. Let's say that I'm one pizza, and I have had to go after the blue whale being digested, which just means you process all of your old toxic patterns. All of that stuff has to go. And when you're all done with that, you will have gone through this, basically you will have gotten your wholeness back. Like if I am a full pizza, having gone around the entire spectrum of my being, and I am now once again complete, having gone around and gathered all my soul fragments. The blue whale representing a whale of a soul fragment from the trauma left over from the Joan lifetime. And once I've reintegrated that, and I now have all of my soul aspects so that I am once again complete, I still have, so that now, how do I say this? Okay, let's say I now have an area of expertise that is mine based on all of my travels, and my area of expertise is one of spiritual knowledge, but I have very little, and I'm confident in that arena, but I have very little experience with basically my weak area is embodiment, the realm of embodiment, the realm of physicality, the realm of like social structure, everything that happens on earth. Fame, fortune, money, entertainment, everything that happens in the earthly realm. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm a newbie on earth. I'm feeling like a total baby. I'm really immature on earth. That's really where what it comes down to. It's like, even though I've incarnated a lot, but I've got this vast area of expertise about all of this other stuff, but I'm very insecure about everything down here. Well, guess who's really, really, really good at that? It's all about finding your complement. It's not that they have a piece that you lack. I'm a full pizza, but I'm a new pizza on earth, let's say. And all of the earthly knowledge, it's like, even though we're in two bodies, it's like one soul in two bodies, let's say. We put all of the earthly knowledge in one. We put all, let's say all, even though it's not. It's like there's overlap. There's overlap. I can pump gas. It's like, not like I don't know how to do anything. But here's the thing. You share knowledge. So this is why the telepathy is so important. You can go off and act independently. So it's not about being codependent ever. You can have your freedom. There's just, you're sharing skill sets. There's also, well, I'm not going to get into that right now. I was going to talk about a triad. I'm not going to do that right now, though. But so here's the interesting thing, too. Another interesting thing is that very often there's a, since you're one soul, that it's not like it's, I don't want to get too much into mechanics. There's when you go, qualities are divided. Sometimes we do this in groups also. We really do. We do this in groups. When you go down for a specialty task, if you network with somebody, let's say somebody, one member of the group is like the target person who's going, wrong word, is going to be a designated person to do a given job. And let's say it's a very particularly hard thing to do, or you know that they're going to meet with a lot of resistance. That's what I wanted to say. You know that they're going to meet with a lot of resistance, so they're going to have a particularly strong amount, or a particularly pronounced amount of a given quality. If you are in a group, or if you're at a twin flame, since we share energies, we can very often put all of one ability into one of the parties, which gives, like, I'll say it this way. If I am Joan of Arc and I am the messenger and I'm here to deliver this huge message, extremely verbal, and I come down in a group formation and we all have this joint endeavor, but only one of us is going to be the spokesperson, I really can't be too pissed off if Josh doesn't speak. If he's having, speak to me, if I take all the speech because I need it, and I need it to go, I need it to be a jackhammer in that lifetime. I needed I needed a lot of the communication energy, and it needs to be like a cosmic water pick that's going to deliver this message. Archangel Gabriel. We're going to put a very concentrated, very focused channel of energy that's going to be directed in particular direction. So I got that. So early on, so speaking of purges, mine in 2013, it's probably still going on. When I was processing a lot of stuff, every once in a while, there would just be a tremendous amount of verbal hostility. A lot of it was written in capitals, and I wrote a blistering email to my ex-husband one time. Not to say that he didn't deserve it, because he did. He did. I'm not sorry about that at all. But you look at, why did something take this form? And when my past life memories first came back to me, there was a lot of trauma, and my impulse is to speak it. But it's not even that. It's like, it's a tsunami of, or it was, not so much anymore. Now, like, I can communicate normally, but especially early on. And so, especially when I was first awakening, it's like I was awake in 3, but then when I got my full Kundalini explosion, one of the first things that came back were all of my own past life memories. So when you're going from a place of singularity, your personal identity, on the path upward to multiplicity, one of the first things that comes back is often past life memories of you. So it's going to be, you're going from remembering this lifetime, and you just remember this life. And then when you go up a little higher, heading toward being off the timeline, you're still in a place of personal identity, but you're headed toward a place of multiplicity altogether. So often, breaking through the first layer, you're going to get some of your past life memories are going to start drifting back into your awareness. And with that is going to come, the ones that you're going to remember are the ones that still haven't been resolved. So first thing that comes up is, actually, wait a minute. That may not be true. Because I could argue that in the other way too. You're not going to get more of your pain than you're ready to heal. I'll put it that way. In my own process, before I remembered the Joan lifetime, my first past life memories that started to come back was the lifetime from John Stanley. And that came back, and I know why now. I know why it was that. It was that because I was starting to remember, and this was like in, I don't know, years before my Joan memories came back. My John Stanley memories were there. I already knew about that. And I think now I know that the reason they came back first is because the John Stanley lifetime is related to rebalancing the Joan lifetime, and I was not yet ready to go anywhere near the memories of the Joan lifetime because the trauma from that lifetime was astronomical. And the John Stanley lifetime was one that I had as a counterbalance to the Joan lifetime, but it was a relatively very enjoyable lifetime. And so it's like they're trying to introduce you to past. They know that you're gonna hit this mother lode that's gonna be a geyser of trauma that's gonna destroy your world and everybody else's, in your locale, whatever. It's gonna demolish you. So in preparation for that, here's your John Stanley memories where you were with the same group of people. And I remember feeling very uneasy to getting some of those memories back. And I reunited with Maurice Brown at that time, who was Joan of Arc's mother. And I remember a dream that I had with Maurice. I won't even say it, but about Maurice Brown, and I got it was a nightmare. It was like a really uneasy dream that now I recognize it like the reason, like it was a precursor. It's like you start to get into territory and you're like, this is scaring me. I don't know why it's scaring me, but I'm scared. It's just a birch, it's just something white, it's a birch branch, and I don't know why, but I can't be here anymore. I used to have reactions to things like, I'm just going to avoid that. I'm just going to avoid it. And now, from a place of spiritual being much more mature. Any what? Yes, go look there. You had an asthma attack again?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think she's got asthma. I'm going to take her to the doctor. But like what I used to do is that I would feel like for some reason I'm really scared of that and I don't know why. There's a particular, pay attention if that happens to you. There's a particular quality. Does your fear have a particular quality? Are you scared of something because it's logical? Like, that's a great white shark, I'm scared that it's a sharp teeth, don't put your hand, that certain things make sense to avoid. But is there something that you chronically avoid because you're just inexplicably uneasy and really squirmy, or do you burst into, like, I know I used to do this all the time. I had a lot of triggers. I didn't know what a trigger was, but I like just things that I had to, like, I really had terrible PTSD in college. And I thought it was just from my terrible experiences in this life. And it was, but it was also from past life overlay. Somebody told me the other day, that they've had a lot of experiences in this lifetime that was bleed through from a previous lifetime. In fact, I was going to mention this person. I'm not going to mention their name. This is another person. My guides told me, oh, I would say maybe a year ago, maybe a little over, possibly over. There was a point that I was going through something heavy. When am I not? I was going through something heavy, and I was feeling very alone and I frequently feel the way because there are certain things, particularly in terms of, if you're somebody who's gone through trauma, I think you'll probably know this. There are certain things that you go through them and that you really can't find anybody to relate to it. Like I went to trauma counselors that I stopped going to after only a couple of sessions because they had never, and it was obvious, so obvious to me that they had, number one, if I told them what happened, they were going to be traumatized. Like there's no way, they have no context for it. There's certain things like you just can't talk about it. You get hit with this wall of disbelief. And I remember saying something that happened to me, and I remember telling my trauma counselor, I was like a year into trauma therapy, and I was just getting to certain things like, you know, this happened and it was this, and I remember her reaction, and she didn't know what to say. She couldn't believe it. She was trying to understand it, like, what was it? And I never went back after that because I realized that she has no context for it. I don't want to put these ideas into somebody's head who's never even heard of it. At any rate, about a year and a half ago, I was dealing with issues about going up against institutions, institutionalized oppression, institutionalized injustice specifically. Institutionalized injustice, where you're in a system that no matter what you do, the governing bodies are going to oppress you and suppress you, and you're not going to get, there's actually literally no way for you to get a fair anything. And I was upset and feeling really hopeless about it. And the issues with the legal system, and you can tell the truth, and because it's something that's outside, they don't understand what it is, and they refuse to even consider that this is true. And so even though I tell the truth and somebody else literally made up a lie, the institution will only regard, it's just, I don't know, institutionalized injustice. I was struggling with it. And my guides had said, you're going to meet. So they're setting up a synchronicity. And they said, you're going to meet an intelligent man, is the way they said it. You're going to meet an intelligent man who's been through the same things you have. And I'm not going to tell you who it was, and not my twin. He's a friend now. But we got in touch on Facebook, and I knew, it's like I get to recognize, like when I was introduced or when we hooked up on Facebook, I was like, okay, that's the person they're talking about. And then when I talked to him, I told him that. I said, my guide said that they sent you to me because he's a twin flame too. He's another one. His twin flame got a restraining order, and it's funny. It happens more often than you'd think. I think my friend Andrew's another one whose twin flame got. Most twin flames go through a separation, and almost all of them go through some sort of a something like "go away, never want to see you again." That happens, and then there's runner chaser. You've got through that strata. But then, like the restraining order, and then when I talked to this person, I really like him. Really, really like him. Very intelligent, and just everything he does, I'm like, wow, that's spot on. I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you. You know, when like you start to follow people and you're like, this person's timeline should just be moved to my timeline because I just repost everything he posts. I try your posting is very good. Anyway, it turns I said at the time, my guide said that they were to prepare to meet you, and then it's you, and this is what I'm going through. And then he said I was Galileo. I'm like, yeah, I know. I totally get that, because when he said that, I got a big affirmative, which for me, it's like your guides are giving the nod, like, yes, this is accurate. And boy, does that make sense. It really makes sense. Institutionalized. Like, you can tell them the truth all you want, but you're right. They're not going to believe you. They're going to crucify you. They're going to put you under house arrest. They're going to do whatever they do, but you're not going to get fairness out of this system. That's why we need to take it down, because it's fucked. It really is. So did I finish talking about the pizzas? What I think I wanted to say something else about that. So if I'm one pizza, if you got twin flame pair and they're each represented by pizza, if I'm the pizza that is very comfortable with, and they're also very open and very verbal, that's a thing too. Very comfortable being open and verbal about my beliefs. Is that right? I don't want to. So here's the thing: I haven't talked to Josh in a really long time. I actually don't know what he believes, and it's irrelevant. Actually, it really is. I have it totally. But I do know that with his past life history, in his past life, in the Joan of Arc lifetime, he was King Charles VI. And there's some healing to be done there. Oh, boy. King Charles VI was the mad king of the time who... I just recently posted something on my wall, and it's actually interesting. You wouldn't think it would be interesting to the general public, but I found it very interesting. Listen to King Charles is not, King Charles VII was the Dauphin that Joan of Arc put on the throne. King Charles VI was his father, who was my twin then too. We went down, I never met him. In that lifetime, when I was Joan of Arc, I never met King Charles VI. He landed before I did, but we're on so the mission is the same, though. What we're trying to do is get higher dimension. We're trying to get, boost the women in power, because ultimately it's about the ascension of the planet. And you have to get more women in power, but also into a very, very corrupted, multifaceted, bastardized system for so many reasons. Get women in power, that's one of the goals. Another one of the goals is to get the interdimensional channel open. Something so from Earth to the higher interdimensional aspect. At that time, that was incredibly challenging because we were in a place of political fuckdom. It was, oh God. It was as bad politically. It was as bad politically then as it is politically now. Trying to get corruption out is its own job. Trying to get women is like women, an equal amount of women, feminine energy in there is another whole portion of the task that's really mighty. The trying also to get into, oh, how do I say that? We're trying to get spiritual energy into structural energy in a way that's pure. So anyway, it's a big job. That's one of the big hubs, the Joan of Arc lifetime, that area, the 100 Years' War. That's one big ganglion of forces that interact and exchange toxins and spiral off and do all sorts of other funky things, come back with spikes, radioactive porcupines. So we've been trying to clear it up for a long time. Josh landed first in that lifetime as King Charles the Sixth, and he was doing originally it was really good for a while, and then there was the whole issue of him going mad, or alternately put, trying to achieve interdimensional access. So we were starting to, we were working on it then. We come back in this lifetime, we're still working on it. We're trying to land in a physical form and gain access up, and also have higher form come down, a higher energy come down and be into a physical form. So we've been trying to balance this shit out for a really, really long time. And it's always about the meeting, it's always about the meeting of resistance. So the resistance is obvious in the Joan of Arc lifetime and the 100 Years' War when you're talking about armies. Not a hell of a lot has changed. There's the appearance, there's the, stuff has changed. But, so a lot, but in his energy stream, in his pattern, if you go from King Charles VI, who had a horrible experience, boy, in that lifetime. But it's like if you go on my wall, if you go on my timeline, and I just posted today something about Charles VI, the Mad King. It's not schizophrenia. It's the third dimensional paradigm will identify what they think it is. They haven't even touched it. That's not what it is. That's what you're calling it. You're identifying it with a lot of certainty. The madness of King George. It's, what is it, peripheria? Peripheria? That disease, the madness of King George. He may have had it, but every force evolves a form. Diseases also come from energy. But that's not what it is. We're not talking about schizophrenia. We're not talking, like, I listened to that thing on King Charles VI today, which I didn't even go looking for. That's the thing. It's like, Spirit is really trying to get your attention. If something pops up, it came up when I was looking for something else. I was like, hey, that's neat. Okay, I'll look at that. And boy, that was really interesting. And specific, which brings me to Fulgurite. I was going to mention this. Oh, yes. So King Charles, when, it's a little bit of an aside, but it's not, because I listened to this morning, and part of this I already knew, but then they mentioned it this morning. I was like, Fulgurite, holy shit, I think I cracked the mother lode. That was part of the code. And remember, when I was talking, yes, remember when I was talking a while ago, some live streams ago, about Fulgurite is what happens when lightning strikes sand. You get a piece of Fulgurite. Where is it? I have it. Shoot, I think it's in the other room. Is it? Yeah, it's in the other room. I don't want to redo my whole thing on Fulgurite, but I do want to mention it. I did have eureka moment, several. About 15 minutes, I was like, wow, I just hit on that has everything to do with Fulgurite and spirit communication. Yes, glass and spirit communication. I connect. So sometimes when you look down these energy streams, there are all sorts of these floating elements or repeated elements, and sometimes you can't figure out, why do I, like, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here, and I can't figure out why it keeps appearing. What is this thing, and why does it, what's the connecting? Like, what, when things are, there's nothing random, and there's nothing extra. There's nothing random, and there's nothing extra. So if something seems out of place, and it's like everything is fitting except it's got this one thing, what the hell is that, and why is it here? And why is this same thing also like a loose piece over here? And what do these things have in common? And every once in a while, it's not a matter of linking them. You have a missing piece, and somebody's going to say something, or you're going to get a piece of information, and all of a sudden, it's the thing that links all these, and then it just makes sense. And today I was like, oh, Fulgurite. It's not like I didn't know Fulgurite existed, but now I understand why it does what it does, and I understand. It just made sense, and I connected it back to King Charles VI, who thought he was made of glass. Listen to that, kids. King Charles VI, before Joan of Arc, and it was at the time of Joan of Arc, but it was King Charles VI was famous a number of things. One, he was king, but he started. He was first known as Charles the Beloved because he started to adjust the financial system. And then he went, all sorts of things. You can go listen to the thing. But I know what happened. Partially I know what happened because he's my twin and we share the same. So I understand certain things about that, even though I was not there. A lot of that makes a hell of a lot of sense. That really makes sense, though, when you consider that. So he's famous for believing that he was made of glass. So it's easy to just dismiss that and say, well, that person's crazy. And what I thought originally, I think I'm right, but that's not, I got more of it today. He was right. He was right. Yeah. So I've known about that for a while. I used to think that it was just that he saw himself as transparent, because when you go up in dimension, you can see through form. It's the way medical diagnosis works and things like that, like medical intuition. You can see through things. So I thought it's just that he saw through his body the way we do. But then glass, yes, I'm right. So glass, we're moving now. We're going in steps from carbon-based density to an expanded version of physical reality in which we are, we're silica-based. The entire thing we were trying to do was go from a state of density to an expanded physical version. He goes first. He hits the And he did have that barrier. Like we put a barrier, you remember I've talked about the Virgin of Guadalupe and that famous aura, like that spiky white aura. That is something that we had too. Full body, like energetic armor is basically what it is. And yes, it's light, but it's also like we've done some stuff to it that it afforded us extra protection when we had to go down into a physical reality, into a physical vessel, because it was so incredibly difficult to be here, especially at that time, have a very high vibration and come down into density, puts stresses on the physical form that are incredibly difficult to manage. So he went down first and he took the brunt of it. The thing I thought about Fulgurite, duh, why did I never think about that before? Fulgurite is what happens when, maybe I should go get it, when lightning hits sand. When lightning hits sand, I'm gonna go get it. Can you wait for me? It's just in the other room. I want to go get it because I want to show you one thing in particular. I think it's fascinating. How are we doing on time? Okay, I think I can do this in another half an hour. 1 second. I'll be right back. I know I said that last time too, and I said I was going to come back in 2 hours. I was gone for 2 months, but just 1 second. I found it. Yeah, this is pretty cool. So this is Fulgurite. This is a small piece of Fulgurite. It looks like this. And this is what happens when lightning strikes sand. So it's basically a piece of petrified lightning. And it's hollow. I don't know if you can see it. It's hollow on the inside. It goes all the way through. Can you see that? There we go. So I started to think about Fulgurite and glass. So lightning is an extremely hot energy. Very, very powerful, even though lightning is, but when lightning strikes sand, it carries that forceful energy. And when it strikes sand, it's so hot that the exterior, it melts, basically. It melts all of the particulates. It melts the sand. And the hollow part, the inside, right? Where did I get it? Wait. Did you see it? No. There you go. The hollow part is where it's actually so hot that it vaporizes the inside. And one of the things this is used for, and so what happens is that it's the outside is all basically natural glass. It fuses all of the, it melts the silica, melts the sand, which sticks together, and then the inside part is vaporized and hollow. So where was I going with this? So glass conducts things a certain way. One of the things that this is used for, not the primary thing that it's used for in crystal healing, is that it's an amplifier of prayer. One of the things you do is you, I think I've said this before, but you come up with your prayer, you hold a very strong you basically hold it in your mind or you say it out loud. And then one thing you can do is you blow it back up to the sky, and this carries the energy that it was created with. So it's created with extremely forceful energy, and it's used as an amplifier for prayer. So I was thinking about that and spirit communication specifically. So sand is silica, and I understand it's sometimes made of other things too. But if you think of sand as being silica, and if you also think that it's particulates, I was just trying to think of, like, in terms of stylistic analysis, or in terms of the idea of every force evolves a form, which I know I say that all the time because I think about it a lot. Every force evolves a form, and if something takes a particular form or circumstance, then you can kind of reverse engineer it. Like, what is happening? You can take any form or any circumstance and come up. See, what am I trying to say? You can kind of reverse engineer it and follow the energy back to what must be true of the energy streams. What does that tell you? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. What does it tell you? What does it say? I'm always going around saying that everything speaks. Everything does speak. What does it say about this form? In order for something to take this form, what had to happen? Because nothing's random. Nothing's extra. I understand the way synchronicities work. And if God and your spirit guides are trying to get a certain energy to you, you know, and have somebody pass you a green harmonica because there's something here that you need. So if something is happening, it's just not random. It's just not random. So I was thinking about Charles thought he was made. We're moving from a place of carbon in a realm of separation, believing that we are separate in a realm of carbon. In a sea of people, we are these little particulates who believe we are separate, largely. So that's very much like sand. Lightning strikes, comes down, and there's a fusion, and there's something about prayer and spirit communication and glass also that's very linked to harmonics. You think of the glass harmonica. So we're moving into a body that is based in silica. The glass harmonica, not a harmonica, but an harmonica. It was invented by Benjamin Franklin. Have you ever seen it? It's a lot like the glass harp, where there are glasses with water and it's all laid out horizontally. But a glass harmonica is it's like a tube with cups, crystal cups, and you have like a tray of water, and you've seen it. You can go on YouTube and look up glass harmonica or glass harp. I was very interested in learning how to play that, and I did a little bit of research. One of the things I found is so interesting, the things we're attracted to, right? Because of course I would be attracted to this. I'm attracted to a lot of different instruments, but that one in particular, that was speaking to me about, like, I think that would be a real good match for me. I was thinking about in this lifetime, the glass harmonica. And then I was doing a little bit of research, and it said that the glass harmonica used to be really popular, and then they stopped. It fell out of favor really quick because there was a widespread belief that it was summoning spirits. They had a number of issues where people would swoon and faint. They would connect with spirits, or during concerts, and they would people falling, and it was believed, and they were having like midnight concerts because there was a point in the development of the glass harmonica at the peak of its popularity, it was popular to have concerts at night because you could, they thought you could more easily access the spirit realms, and then they had people falling, and then everyone got scared of it. Anyway, but it's played with water. So I was thinking about this today, that you play the glass harmonica. It's also got really, really pure tones, like you can tune it. But it's an instrument that requires water to play it. I like funky instruments, like the theremin is really pretty cool too. I don't want to go into that right now, but I love the idea that spirit communication from glass and water. And Charles VI never met Joan of Arc, but if you listen to some of the things, he thought he was made of glass. The themes are just so, they never go away. I mean, this is the thing. It's like we're not, you want the form to change. Like the good parts of this stuff, you can keep that if you want. We don't have to, I'm not saying we're going to go formless, but like there are certain things that, like, why do these elements keep repeating? There are certain things, even like certain phrases that, like, if I track it back in time, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here. Every time it's here, it means that it's not done. Is basically, it's like, are we still working on this fucked up energy stream? And it's like the level's going down and down and down. Are we done yet? Are we done yet? Are we done yet? We're just getting repeat. And it just comes up and I clear it. It comes up and I clear it. And comes up and I clear it. Charles VI thought that he was made of glass. And I think it's because he shot out of his body and couldn't get back in. It's real. That's what happened to me.
Hurry up.
Excuse me, I'll be done in just a little bit. Well, go ahead.
You're too loud.
Okay.
Please hurry up. I'm
thank
tired.
you.
Please hurry up. I'm tired.
Okay. Where was I? One of the things that King Charles said, number one, he didn't recognize it. I'm not even going to go into that thing. I put it on my wall, but it's short. It's not all that long. But one of the things he said was excuse me, don't talk to me that way.
Please.
I'll be done in just a minute.
Please.
What time is it? Okay, I've got 10 more minutes.
Fred, no, I want to go to sleep.
I think we may have an issue now. Okay. He didn't want anyone to touch him. So that's one theme that is, you know, Joan of Arc armor. You're going to get the same, it's going to be a manifestation. The same manifestation is going to show up, and it's going to be in places and people that have never spoken before. You're going to see this, depending on where the energy goes, you're going to get this one element. It's going to repeat and repeat and repeat. So that's really what I'm tracking back. And then when I find it, I work on healing that. And then once you heal it in one place, it dissipates everywhere it is. So it's basically the way I spend my days. Okay. I'm going to let her go to bed. There's no wall. If you are able to make any kind of donation to my PayPal account, I'm overdrawn. And issues about finances, I hesitate to say I'm going to do another live stream. I'm so tempted to just keep going and do it tomorrow. I am spirit-led, I'll put it that way. I'm spirit-led, and I'm going to do it as soon as I possibly can after it drops. I can say I've been getting like these really strong, like 4 or 5 hour downloads, and they come in at like 5 a.m. So I don't think I'm going to do it then, but it's I'm getting some really strong. Like, I know this doesn't seem that miraculous to you, but when it came through, I'm like, oh, that allowed me to connect spirit communication with this material. Oh, I think I forgot to, shoot. I forgot to even tell you the big thing about this. Am I going to do that now? I think I don't have time. I think Calca needs me to leave. All right. There was something else about Fulgurite and glass, specifically, moving into silicon form, and how that is much easier to connect with spirit. And that's, he wasn't crazy. He was telling the truth. I'm not saying it was a picnic. It was a horrible experience. But because he was known as Charles the Mad, I have no fear about doing this. I don't know how he feels about it, but in that energetic stream, there's a lot of anti-God, anti-spirit, no spirit. I know from my father had this too. Very automatic. There's an automatic flinch. We're talking about the auto flinch. Like, what is the thing that you automatically avoid so strongly that it's just conditioned? It's like an automatic avoidance. That's what we're here to counterbalance with our twin. Wherever your biggest issue is, which for me is physicality, it's going to be his strong suit. Whatever. In his, I don't know how he feels about it, but in that energy stream is an auto flinch that says no to that, even though there's a strong aptitude, real strong, real psychic, but may not want anyone to know that or identify, have that be an identifying feature, because the last life is there's still so much pain attached to that. I don't know that that's true. That might not be true for him at all. I haven't spoken to him in years. I'm just using it for the purposes of demonstrating a dynamic. That's the way it goes. I've got an awful lot more to say. And I never even, this is the note that I took. I really want to talk about this thing, and I didn't get to talk about it. I'm going to try and come back tomorrow, but could be back. Tomorrow could take months. Depends on what spirit has to tell me. Okay, donate if you can. I'm going to put my PayPal link. And I love you all. I'll see you later. If you would like a private session, I'm open to doing private sessions. I was pulled out for a while. They didn't want me to do it. Spirit didn't want me to do it. I had too much psychic overload, and they told me, literally, they were like, no, you can't do it. So I didn't get any requests, any booking. They made me go into recluse mode, total hermit mode, for the purposes of doing personal, interpersonal, personal work. But I really need some groceries, so I would appreciate it. If anyone wants to book a private session, I would love to work with you. And okay, I'm out. Good night. I love you. Where's that? There it is.